Hi everyone, and welcome to Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Day 4. The groups are over, the players have been selected, and let's take a look at the schedule. We have some exciting matches coming up for you today. First up, we're going to have MaNa versus Nerchio, followed shortly by Parting versus Stefano. Up after that, we'll have Rhett versus Sting, followed by Dream versus First. And then after that, don't forget, we're going to have 2 out of 4 of our quarterfinal matches. If you'd like to join the let's take a quick look at the brackets and see how these are going to play out. Let's not forget that the first of each group has moved on directly to the quarterfinals. So as we see here, MaNa, Nerchio, Parting, Stefano, Rhett, Sting, and Dream First are all fighting for the opportunity to move on and play against our first place finishers. If you'd like to join the conversation about today's matches, hit us up on Twitter. That's twitter.com/IEM, and do not forget to use that hashtag IEM. We have our analysts on the desk all day talking back to you guys. Also, please visit us on Facebook/IEM, and don't forget to vote for the Sick Nerd Baller. They get a sweet hoodie, and they get their name immortalized forever on one of these incredible monitors here. We're going to hand it over to our experts at the desk, and when we come back, I'll bring out your players.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerdlings of all ages, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships. I'm pretty excited for the lineup we have today, and we have a pretty good match to start things off with as well. The Battle of the Poles, Nerchio versus MaNa. What do you guys think?
Nerchio seemed to be doing very good against MaNa in Wings of Liberty, and with Heart of the Swarm, it's time for MaNa to change this if he wants to be able to go confidently into the game. I'm sure they will be facing many times in the future. Every time there is going to be a Polish championship, you expect these two to be in the finals, and I'm sure MaNa will want to show to Nerchio that this is a different game, and this time he's here to be the best of Poland.
And Harstem, any thoughts on MaNa Nerchio quickly?
Yeah, I think Nerchio won most of the matches in Wings of Liberty. It's like 16-0 or something like that, 16-1. So I think MaNa might be able to take it in Heart of the Swarm.
All right, well, we'll see if he's able to do that. Here for our player introductions, ladies and gentlemen, back to Rachel on the stage.
Thanks so much, guys. Without further ado, please let me present the real stars of the show. That is the players. First up, we have MaNa. And his opponent, please welcome to the stage, Nerchio. We have 2 representatives of the Polish nation here. Gentlemen, which of you will move on and bring honor to your people?
If you look at the history, I should win, but it will be hard right now for me, I think.
MaNa, any response?
Yeah, I think it's the same. If it was Wings of Liberty, I would probably lose. But since it's a new game, I have higher chances, but we'll see.
We shall see. Gentlemen, please shake hands. Let's get these games underway. I'm going to hand it back to our experts.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to be getting into game number 1 shortly. The map is going to be Daybreak, and of course, we've seen it's a pretty one-sided affair in Wings of Liberty. But like we mentioned, maybe MaNa can pull one out here in Heart of the Swarm. Are there any strategies in particular that we're looking to hopefully see MaNa employ here to help them do that?
You know, it's funny you say it's pretty one-sided in Wings of Liberty. I'm sure a lot of Zergs would disagree. But I think MaNa, he lacks this style with Stargate, opening a couple Phoenixes, then going into Colossus. And on Heart of the Storm is going to be very different. PvZ, you're going to see a lot more of Void Ray Colossus or some build with earlier Storm in general. And MaNa, he has not really been using this. He's just been trying to outsmart his opponent by playing a more standard old school style, and we're going to see here if he continues with this trend or if he really tries to mix it up a little bit more.
Now, do we think, you mentioned actually that MaNa hasn't really been going for a Void Ray Colossus sort of style. We saw Harstem on days 1 and 2 of the tournament that Protosses are really favoring going for this, and it was actually quite a long time before we saw a Protoss go Void Ray Colossus and lose a game. What can Nerchio do here if we see that kind of composition coming out here?
Well, I think Nerchio is just going to play Mutas. Nerchio has been playing Mutas the complete tournament, so I see no reason for him to switch. Even though it didn't go that well against Yonghua, he even seems to like Mutas if his opponent opened 6 Phoenix, so yeah. And I just think we're going to see Mutas from Nerchio.
But there is a good chance MaNa is expecting that and might open either with 1 Stargate or go into mid-game 2 Stargates to really try and counter this. So from there, Nerchio, we've seen how he tries to counter this. He goes for his own Corruptors to tank the damage of those Phoenixes. It's very hard to go into Corruptors and Mutas and manually target the Mutas. You're going to be losing Phoenixes. Whereas if you just have Phoenixes against the Mutas, you're going to do a lot better, obviously.
Now, we have a pretty stacked bracket here, of course. This is only the first game of the day. After this, we have Parting versus Stefano as well. Is there any player in particular that you guys think, currently in the top 12, that you have tipped, yes, they're absolutely going to win the tournament?
I think everybody would agree MVP was maybe the most impressive player this tournament so far. He's been playing different builds every single game, and everything he does works. He makes everything works, and yeah, he looks like a bit of a magician so far.
I think MVP is going to take it, but if there should be one guy, it's probably Dream. He played extremely well in his groups, lost 2-1 to MVP, so yeah.
All right, well, before we get to that, of course, the winner of this series goes up to play MVP. So a lot is on the line here, and they have a pretty tough opponent next time around as well. Let's see which one of them is going to advance, though, as we head into game number 1 with your commentators for the day. We have Apollo and Kalaris.
Thanks very much, guys. Welcome to day number 4 here, the very start of this bracket, which has turned out pretty darn phenomenally.
The bracket is amazing. It's short of amazing. I mean, looking at it, I was mind blown. When I looked yesterday, Carmack said the bracket's good. I'm like, yeah, it's probably good, Carmack, but you know, it's not that good. Looking at it in detail,
it's really good.
It's one of the best brackets I've seen in any StarCraft 2 tournament.
Yeah. And, I mean, that has all culminated from a long, long season here through Wings of Liberty, having the best players from the entire season now join into here. But for now, we have the Polish rivalry here once again. This is going to be interesting.
This rivalry has been going on for a very long time, Kalaris. You know that more so than anyone, being friends with MaNa, of course, and Nerchio. Nerchio doesn't really lose to MaNa.
Nope.
It's very, very rarely does he lose to MaNa. He doesn't lose to MaNa. But it's Heart of the Swarm, man. Anything is possible. We've seen upsets so far in this tournament. Are we going to see another one here?
We may do. We may do. This is MaNa's chance to strike out. The sword of MaNa will be raised here, trying to lash out at Nerchio. As for now, we will have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner here as our blue Protoss. He goes by the name of Mao's MaNa. And spawning up to the top right-hand corner as our red Zerg, looking to continue his dominating streak against his opponent here. He goes by the name of Acer Nerchio.
Neither of these players have shown strength within this matchup, to be honest, in this tournament so far. Nerchio fell short in Group A. Well, obviously, his opponents were amazing. Yonghua and Parting, the 2 players he lost to, the 2 Protoss players.
Yeah.
Nerchio did qualify through as 3rd place, though, 3 wins to 2 losses. MaNa, on the other hand, qualified through as 2nd place with 4 wins to 1 loss in his group, but he didn't have the best time against Zerg players. He won 1, 2-1, and then lost versus Violet 0-2, and to be honest, I casted that game. It was pretty one-sided.
You're right. I think that, you know, MaNa here still feels that his strength lies in his PvT, which, you know, a lot of Protoss are having a tough time against Terrans right now in Heart of the Swarm. So for now, this is MaNa's big hurdle here. Not only is it his nemesis, but it's also arguably his weakest matchup.
It's his, yeah. I mean, in Wings of Liberty, it was his weakest matchup, and that's not going to really change in a short period here in Heart of the Swarm. It may help him, though, because Heart of the Swarm has had a strong influence on Protoss results over Zerg as of recent. With the, I mean, nothing's changed too drastically in the early mid stages. It's all about the late game, of course, with the Infestor change, not making them as strong as they used to be, and then the combination of Void Ray, Storm, Colossus seems to be, you know, a combination that can't be dealt with that much. But we actually see a different opening here from MaNa that you'd usually expect, especially on such a large map.
Yeah, and I'm personally liking the gateway opening here from MaNa. He wants to try and poke a little bit, or at least keep his opponent on edge. And this is a nice thing to actually do against the Zerg now. Forge Fast Expand allows, you know, the Zergs to just fly wildly ahead with drone counts.
Yeah.
And it's really that little mothership core poke that's going to limit Nerchio a little bit.
Yeah, the Cybernex core was a little bit delayed because he did decide to pylon block the natural here for Nerchio, but actually picked up a kill. Look at that.
Yeah, impressive.
No, I mean, MaNa, I mean, if you're thinking about mentality going into this game is what I was thinking about just then, is I wonder if that's just going to give him just a little bit more of a confidence boost, because overall in Wings of Liberty, MaNa was just, his mental state was broken against Nerchio. There's no other way to describe it. He just couldn't beat him. There was no way he was going to beat him anytime soon either with the mental state that he had, because he knew that Nerchio was his nemesis. He couldn't beat him, but going into the heart of the Swarm, that refreshes things. And then with just a simple kill like that, you know, that's going to boost his confidence, even though it's something so simple.
Yeah, too true. And I think for Nerchio here, it might be, you know, the completely reverse. In Wings of Liberty, he felt super, super confident against MaNa. But here in Heart of the Swarm, I was talking to him just before, and he feels as if this is MaNa's opportunity, the big opportunity for him to take the win off Nerchio and, you know, try and bring back some of that glory back to the Protoss.
4 Zerglings are hidden here, and I'm going to move in as he's expecting the Stalker and Mothership Core to move out. So quite smart play there by Nerchio to hide the links for a little bit, and he's going to try and target down this pylon. Not too sure if it's going to go down, though, with the Mothership Core coming in to help defend.
And the Nexus just goes down for now as well here. So good micro from Nerchio, really retaining 1 or 2 of those Zerglings. Supply blocking MaNa here as well. A nice little move by him. And behind this, you know, he's just taking his natural. He's actually got a gas here and getting that speed out pretty quickly because he knows his opponent open gateway first, and he knows he needs to take those precautions.
And if he shuts down every little bit of harassment that can come out from MaNa, then Nerchio's going to be looking quite good as he slips in 2 Zerglings here, which is a bit of a mistake for MaNa to let this happen. 3 Zerglings, should I say. And they're going to get in there. They could get a couple of probe kills. Things are slowly turning in favor for Nerchio at the start of this game.
It wouldn't be a MaNa-Nerchio game if Zerglings didn't get into the main and didn't start tickling away at probes. So that has happened. We can get that out of the way now. MaNa, he's killed them off. He's going to make his wall.
Did lose the Stalker out there as well, which is a little bit unfortunate. But Mothership Core going to head him. I'm feeling that Nerchio's going to display a bit of Mutilus play somewhere in this series. I think that's something that he's very comfortable with using, especially he was in Wings of Liberty, and more so in Heart of the Swarm here. We do have +1 on the way for MaNa, but we are going to see the Mothership Core poke in, scouting more than anything, not really looking for harassment. Going to take a bit of hit point damage.
Yep, and I wonder if he's actually scouted out the 3rd just yet. No, he is not. There is 1 probe who was trying to sneak across there, but really wasn't able to get much done. So MaNa still doesn't know his opponent's 3rd is down just yet. Really does kind of want to see that at this point. It's pretty important.
Yeah, and he may just swing the Mothership Core around, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's not really going to get any units out there with Zergling speed done. Stalker, Zealot, Probe are the 3 scouting options by ground at this point, and neither of them would survive against any Zerglings. But the Mothership Core, Zerglings can't eat upwards.
No, poor little guys can't jump too high there. As for now, the Mothership Core does spot the 3rd. A little bit of creep going out here from Nerchio as well. A Stargate already goes down for MaNa. This is something that our analysis desk pointed out quite nicely here. And MaNa, this is probably the best option for him. Stargate openers right now against Zerg are very, very good with those Phoenix.
Very good. I mean, the Phoenixes have increased range in Heart of the Swarm just by 1. And then if you think about the other options that you have, Twilight Council, if you were to throw that down instead of the advanced facility of the Stargate, you're pushing yourself more towards a faster +2. You're not looking to do any harassment. As mentioned before, you're only going to be on Zealots, Stalkers, and Sentries, which can't move across the map. But with Phoenixes, you can scout, you can harass, and you can react better for one of the strong builds that we're seeing in Heart of the Swarm, which is Mutilus play. And I'm interested to see if we are going to see a spy come down. He has, gas has been taken, going to go up to 6. Oh. No Evo chambers down at all. It's either going to be an infestation pit for Swarm Host or what I think it's going to be for Spire. I'm waiting for him to put it down.
Yeah, and there you go, Spire as well as Hydralisk think, oh, he's going to try and trick him out here. This is something Vortex and Rhett were doing in Wings of Liberty, and unless MaNa's scouting is perfect, he's going to go into Colossus Tech or something like that and be completely fooled.
Hashtag mind games. Phoenix goes in, sees the Hydralisk den and the Roach Warren, and is like, right, time to throw down the robotics bay. Well, as soon as the robotics facility finishes, and he will not have the necessary units to defend this. Granted, he'll have a couple of Phoenixes for real, which he is going for, but he won't have enough. I mean, if he'd scouted this, he's going to have 3 to 4 Phoenixes. This is not the worst case scenario for MaNa. The worst case is he doesn't have any Phoenixes. Yeah. But he's just going to have 4, which is, you know, okay.
Oh, slightly supply block there, so that 4th one's going to take a little while to come out. +2 weapons is on the way as the Zerglings try and poke on in here. But for MaNa, scouting that out to the very bottom position is going to be very, very difficult. The only way we're really going to see him do that is if the Phoenix fly over it, or if he was going for some little gateway aggression to then place a pylon down to that position and he spots it with a probe. But I just don't think that is going to actually occur.
I'm actually kind of liking MaNa's position despite scouting this, to be honest. He hasn't reacted the way that Nerchio wanted him to. He hasn't thrown down a robotics bay. The Phoenixes have a chance to actually spot this, depending on which way they go to the bottom right here. They're obviously going to travel to the bottom right, but do they go past the spire?
They're gonna.
He's going to see it.
He is. He's going to see it. Oh my God. Oh, he turned at the very last second and does not see the spire. Didn't even see any little bit of creep there. And he now spots a 4th base going down.
And now he's seen the Mulas. But so Finnish production is going to continue. To be honest, like I said, it's not the worst position for MaNa. I think MaNa has not reacted the way that Nerchio wanted him to. He's not meant to have Phoenixes out now. He's not meant to spot that early there. He's meant to have a Robo Bay. And behind this, a 3rd base coming down. Recall to get the Phoenixes out there, which is a little bit interesting. Not too sure why that happened there, but...
Well, I mean, he was always going to recall the Mothership Core anyway, otherwise the Mutalist would have killed it, so...
Might as well take the guys home with it. Yeah. Bit of company. But, you know, we'll see how Nerchio's going to play this. He's going to have to start building Corruptors soon. He's already getting the Carapace upgrade, which is going to actually help out quite a bit against these Phoenixes. But still, like I said, MaNa's got a good position, and he kind of fell into it more so than, you know, earned it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he still doesn't know where the Spire is, and technically that Spire is going to be very vulnerable. So, like, once we're going past the mid-game here, Nerchio should be looking to throw an extra Spire down at some point if he wants to stick to this air tech.
And, well, Mulas are coming in here, doesn't have too much ground units. Where the Phoenix is a bit out of position here. The Sentries and Zorkers will die immediately, and all these Lings, he can't afford to lose this Nexus, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's important to throw down this force field a little bit preemptively there while they take that cannon down, making sure that a Nexus is well protected during all of this assault, as the Phoenix will fly on in and push away the Mutalist for now, but Zergling's still trying to pick off 1 or 2 probes, as Anion Pulse Crystals does begin here for Phoenix, so that production shouldn't be ending. Well, actually, I think he looks happy with this amount of Phoenix at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably expecting Nerchio to just back off from air production, but he's going fully over to Corruptors. This is definitely a time, though, that MaNa with all 6 gases can, to be honest, I was going to say throw the Templar Archives down and get ready for Storm and Archons, but he's going for DTs here, which is a harassment technique more so than anything. Of course, they can immediately be morphed or switched or transformed, what word am I looking for, to Archons.
Yeah.
Fused together?
Fused.
Well, you know, whatever.
That won't go.
I mean, it's going to work out quite well if he's able to bring down hatcheries here, but he has spotted Corruptors, and I wanted to see if he's going to start more air production again.
I think one thing that's nice for MaNa about the Dark Shrine is that because Nerchio is already so spread out so quickly at the 15-minute mark, then DTs can be very effective, but for now these Corruptors actually really zoning out those Phoenix very, very nicely here. Even going to take that down, that Mothership Core, but Photon Overcharge is powering back those Mutas for now along with the Phoenix, and well, he should be able to hold on for now, but Nerchio's got such a strong economy behind this.
Yeah, really nice micro by MaNa here with the Phoenixes, but yeah, you bring up an amazing point here is that Nerchio took 5 bases in an instant.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of gas. He's got a lot of gas income, and he's spending it wisely. He's got a lot of Corruptors, a lot of Mules, and he's upgrading further. But we do have the Dark Shrine completed. If he's able to pick off one of these bases, which is gifting the amount of income for Nerchio, then he can get back into this game. But down at 124 supply and about to be supply capped. Not looking that good. He just doesn't have that many units.
Yeah, not too bad. As for now, I mean, those 3 DTs are actually on the way. They haven't. DT Shrine has not been spotted, and he is throwing force fields so he can stop the Zerglings from actually getting in here. The Phoenix trying as desperately as they can to combat those Corruptors and eventually get to the squishy Mutalisks underneath, but they're being zoned out so well here. He just doesn't have the anti-air. He's 200 supply to 100.
Yeah, I think MaNa's made a little bit too many errors here. I wonder if the DT Shrine was the right thing to go for in this circumstance. Should he focus more on an army rather than this harassment, because the harassment's coming in now, but he just simply may die here. He's down at 86 supply. The DTs are doing the damage necessary, but these Mulis, with +2 carapace, seconds away from finishing, will just continue to do damage.
Yeah, they've shut down all of the mining at this third base right now. That is a catastrophic situation here for MaNa, but he's still actually killing off quite a lot of workers with Dark Templar, still actually putting on some harassment here, shutting down the entire 5th base, and that does die. But Nerchio is in an amazing spot right now with, well, 55 workers to 44.
Yeah.
Still a really strong economy.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking pretty dire here for Nerchio. I mean, for MaNa, sorry. As the army supply is just so big here. He's, you know, able to work with 5 bases, 10 gases overall here. Has so many Mulis. Here comes Blink Play coming in. I just think MaNa's just made some fundamental mistakes in this game that have slowed his supply from increasing to where it should have been. I wonder if the Dark Shrine was the right thing to go for. You know, at the same time, I say that, but, you know, Dark Shrine is good in this circumstance. It's not a bad decision to go for because you need to do something to prevent the Zerg from rushing up to 10 gases like this, but it was just a little bit too late, and, you know, he is in this awkward position because of it.
Yeah, 30 Mutalisks out right now, and I mean, combating that with this army is so ridiculously difficult. I mean, yes, he can kill the Corruptors off and then eventually be able to kite the Mutalisks, technically forever, but by the time he's actually killed off enough, they're going to be replenished back at home here for Nerchio, and he's making a ton of Zerglings, can easily pressure the 3rd as well.
And the +2 carapace, these Mules are like, oh, you know, kind of whatever. We got more back at home. There's more Mules. It's never going to end. Manage. You know, what are you going to do? And this is a problem. This is a big, big problem. But he is fighting well. These Phoenixes are doing a lot. They do have the range upgrade, the superior, much, much superior range over the Mules. But as I say that, kind of loses one. And the Spire is back up on its way.
Yeah, and for now, MaNa, I mean, I really don't see how he can combat this at all. He's getting Blink, he's getting Phoenix. That's all the tools necessary to try and deal with this, apart from Storm, of course. But still, this is just too much. Any cannon support is instantly ripped to shreds.
I mean, it looks like, you know, there may be an option for MaNa to get back in, but he's losing probes over and over. There's 1,500 gas in the bank, guys. As soon as the Spire's done, this Mulis can just gets replenished, and Nerchio knows that, which is why he's trading. He's all right, I'll kill your Stalkers, and if all my Mulis die, I'll kind of build that army again here. And they're not even going to die anyway, so...
Not at all. MaNa here just doesn't have the anti-air. Cannon's being retreated to by the last remaining Stalker, but he gets killed off by the bounce of the Glaive Worms, and even an Immortal running around ragged here, focusing down a few Zerglings. Not really going to make too much of a difference when the air threat is far superior.
I got to be honest with you, Kolaris, this looks kind of the same way that they always used to play in Wings of Liberty. Nerchio just dominating, one-sided, outplaying MaNa. MaNa's got to change this up before it gets out of control. Remember, this is a best of 5 here in the round of 12, not a best of 3, so there is room for error. But this game's dead and gone. 21 probes, 157 supply to 33. MaNa's just playing in it to playing it at this point. And 16 mules, 17.
Well, there you go. GG for game number 1. Nerchio showing that Heart of the Swarm is not going to hold it back.
And as that GG came in, a voice in my head just went, fatality. Because that was domination, as simple as that. Nerchio just making it look easy.
Yeah, very much so. So, guys, we're going to send it over to our analysis desk for game number 1 with Todd, Harston, and Jorasar.
A very neat game number 1 there from Nerchio, earning him first blood in today's matches. An interesting opening sequence there. Of course, a lot of early game harassment and taking out that pylon in natural expansion as well was a little bit annoying for MaNa.
Yeah, I liked the way he opened gates. I do think that Forge is a little bit better, but at least there was a couple links getting into his main. He handled it decently. Behind this, he goes for the Stargate. He made +1 pretty early. To be honest, I was surprised he didn't try to put more heavy pressure with it. But Nerchio just playing standard, going for the quick lair. And he really tried to throw off MaNa a lot by making the Roach Warren, the Hydralisk Den, and hiding the Spire. And in the end, it kind of backfired. Or I don't think you can really say backfire, but he ran into Phoenixes, which is one of the worst scenarios when you go for mutants like this.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, obviously, the hidden Spire was to try and see if he could bait a certain reaction out of MaNa there. What ideally was he really looking for MaNa to do when he saw the Roach Warren and Hydralisk Den? Like, what was his game plan at that point?
Well, I think he wanted MaNa to make 4 Phoenixes, or like if he went for Stargate, 4 Phoenix into Robotics Bay and then Colossi.
Yeah.
Ideally, you even want him to go immediately into Colossi or just some kind of Immortal expand, but MaNa had nothing of that, and he just went for Stargate, built 6 Phoenixes, and even threw down a Twilight Council. So
if MaNa had opened quick third and made a late Twilight Council and then would have wanted to go for Colossus before going for Blink, he would have been in a world of trouble. He would have had neither a Stargate or Blink, which you really need against those Mutas. So in this game, he saw that there was Mutas early on, and he went into charge loss plus Phoenixes. The problem is that he was on 1 Stargate for a while, and then when he was finally on 2 Stargates, he didn't make that many Phoenixes.
Well, we're going to hop into the replay now, guys. We're going to check out around the 16-minute mark and take a look at the state of the game at this point, what's going through the players' minds and what their plans are going into the last couple of minutes of the game. Todd, why don't you tell us what's going on here?
Well, we have a lot of Mutas by Nerchio. At this point, it's already looking very bad for MaNa, and since he went for Charge Lot, he does not have Blink right now. And, I mean, he's lost all of his Phoenixes really badly, and we just have too many Mutas. Those Corruptors are going to be able to cover them very nicely.
The DTs are doing a number, though, over on the Zerg side of the map, but it's just not enough at this point.
MaNa tried for something which can be good, but he ended up just taking too much damage in his own base that those DTs did not really matter. I mean, they killed 36 walkers, but he lost 37 himself. If he had gone for Blink instead, and he would have been able to blink his own Stalkers all over the place and really defend against those Mutas.
yeah, I felt like that if he would have just gone Blink Stalkers and then DTs, it would have been better, or double Stargate and DTs, and not single Stargate, charge, DTs. He didn't really have an army to fight against the Mutas and the Lynx.
You know, I like to overmake Phoenixes against Mutas, because even if you're on 3 Stargates and you're overcommitting, it's going to help against pretty much anything. And when your opponent tech switches into, say, Hydralisk or even Infestors, you still have a lot of room to fly into his main. And if there is just 1 Spore and you have 15 Phoenixes, you don't care about the Spore, you kill a ton of drones. So MaNa here, his biggest mistake was to not make enough Phoenixes and working on saving them. He was too aggressive, he lost a lot of them, and then eventually the Swarm overwhelmed MaNa.
Yeah, it's going to snowball really hard if you lose 2 Phoenixes every time you engage and you only kill 3 or 4 Mutas. Like, he's just going to have 10 Extractors against your 6 Extractors, so you will never be able to keep on with the production.
No, that's a great point as well. The gas, very, very important once you get to that stage of the game. Now, heading into game number 2, though, of course, Nerchio with the Hidden Spire in game 1. What might he be going in game number 2 on the grounds that that's obviously something that, would he actually try and go for something like that twice in a row, or has that card now been played and he's going to switch into something a bit more normal?
I think there's definitely a good chance. I mean, we mentioned that Nerchio goes a lot for Mutas. He still goes for it, even though he hit it pretty well the previous game. So there is a very realistic chance for him to go for Mutas again, and MaNa is going to have to scout a lot.
All right, well, we'll see if that ends up happening 2 games in a row. Will MaNa be able to come back and level the series? Your commentators for game number 2 on Ohana, ladies and gentlemen, we have Apollo and Kalaris.
Thanks, guys. Game number 2 here as Nerchio takes game number 1. And, I mean, looking into Heart of the Swarm here, we thought MaNa might have a little bit of a leg up, but apparently not.
Apparently not. Very kind of similar game to what we'd expect on Wings of Liberty on Daybreak as well, but going on to the next map, MaNa has to stop Nerchio from just steamrolling, because if he wins this next map, then I don't think MaNa can win at all. It's not just being 2-0, it's a confidence thing as well. If MaNa can win this game, then he's absolutely back in it and can still, as early predicted, win the game. But going over to the next map here, it's Ohana.
Yep. And with that, we shall jump right on in. As for now, Nerchio and MaNa, the Battle of Polski, or Poland, either one, does commence once again, and spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner here as our blue Protoss. He goes by the name of Mao's MaNa. And spawning up to the top left-hand corner here as our red Zerg. Currently 1 game up in this best of 5. He goes by the name of Asa Nerchio.
Asa Nerchio. With zoomed in hatchery and zoomed in Nexus. I'm expecting, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, Claris. Because I'm allowed to say things.
Okay.
I think MaNa will do an Immortal push with Mothership Core. I think so.
What's giving you that?
It's Ohana. It's a very good map for the Immortal in any way. MaNa has shown patterns of this kind of aggression, this kind of style already within this tournament in the games he's already played. And I think that he will do this.
Okay.
I don't know though. I'm happy to be wrong, so I'm just putting my neck out there. Chop my head off if you want, but it's there.
All right.
Keep that in consideration.
We shall see. We shall see. As for now, Nerchio, he just grabs himself a spawning pool. I wouldn't be surprised if Nerchio just tried to go straight up to Spire again, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's not the most amazing map for it, but it can certainly do a lot of damage. And ultimately, the Mutalisks are so potent in Heart of the Swarm right now that... And Nerchio just completely tore his opponent apart there. If he goes for it and, you know, MaNa actually doesn't scout that kind of thing out, it's a really difficult thing to actually work.
It is. I'm trying to piece together in my brain here. For you, obviously, people that can't see me on camera, I'm laid back in my chair, as I do when I cast StarCraft, is laid back thinking. I like to take the Stefano approach.
Yeah?
I think.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think what Nerchio would like to do in this game here. Being 1-0 ahead, whether he will use, as you say, Mutalisks, or whether he'll do some Swarm Host play. Because I think on this map, it's easier, I believe, to use Swarm Host than the majority of maps. It's smaller. Yeah. It's easy to escape compared to a big map like Daybreak or Metropolis from the map pool. And it's easy to put submission onto the third base very early as well, because it's such a small map. So I wonder if we'll see something like that. But you know, you have to keep in consideration as well is that Nerchio doesn't have that many games under his belt, but already have a bit more #mind games going on with an extract to play. And if you care to explain that.
Yeah, just going for that means that, you know, actually showing MaNa that initially would mean that he was, you know, trying to go for some kind of speed play or whatever, but realistically that's not going to be what MaNa's facing here. But actually coming back to your point about Swarm Hosts, I think you are completely right about the positioning, not only putting submission onto the third, but also the short distance. If a Swarm Host position itself outside the ramp, just to the left a little bit, near MaNa's second as well, you can put on pressure on either location, and it's hard for MaNa to bounce back and forth constantly. Yeah.
And if MaNa was to play against that, then he's going to need a lot of Colossus early and fast. You know, and if you think about if he opens up Phoenixes, will he have the Colossus out in time if there was a fast Swarm Host play? So there's a lot of different variables that go into this game. Nothing has been displayed to us on what we expect to see yet. But we do have, or actually, as I say that, +1 attack on the way. Could see some gateway pressure. I mean, Grubby has used it this tournament so far with the Mothership Core, using the double time warp as well to slow down the units to make sure you get as many kills as possible. And with +1, that's definitely something that can happen in this game, though Nerchio hasn't got a Ling. He hasn't actually seen this at all, so at the moment, quite clueless to what's going on.
Yeah, would like to scout here. Yeah, MaNa is going to spot his opponent's third base, so I mean, that's pretty much a given in the end time. And look at this, going for Stargate once again. Probably going to go up to Phoenix here and just try and make a little bit more of a more stable opening against what could potentially occur, which could be the Spire again.
Yeah, well, I put my neck out there, and he didn't go Immortal all in.
No.
Sorry. It was a guess. Stab in the dark. But with Stargate and such an early +1, he can't go to +2. It doesn't make sense for him to throw down a Twilight Council so early on. So we're going to have to see good usage of the Phoenixes. I would really like to see if MaNa would focus on killing Overlords and then follow up with a gateway timing. Or whether he just plays over to Robotics Facility and straight up to Colossus's, you know, the analysis broke down. But one thing is for sure, if he's going to use Phoenixes, he has to do damage this time. He did nothing with them previously, didn't really kill that many Overlords, he didn't slow Nerchio down. In this game, considering it's not like a Spire play, Nerchio needs to take damage from these Phoenixes. He has to lose Overlords, he has to lose drones, he has to lose Queens. And behind it, MaNa cannot get supply blocked. He cannot hurt himself, otherwise he'll hinder his progress in this series.
Yeah, it looks like actually with those 3 gateways on the way now, I mean, he could, in theory, apply a little bit of pressure with, you know, some 4-gate play, but that would still require him to sneak a probe out onto the map past every little bit of vision that Nerchio currently has, which is quite considerable, actually. So, you know, that could be a little bit difficult, but you're right, he does need to do damage with the Phoenix for the pure fact that Nerchio right now does have 3 bases with saturated across 62 drones to the 48 right now. He needs to catch up a little bit.
Well, we do have a pylon out there, so pressure can commence. Twilight Council and Robotics Facilities to follow up here, so continuing to upgrade a +2, and then the switch over to Colossus.
I thought he might end up hiding something as close as that to MaNa with the Overlord positioning, but not mentioning it, just, you know, because it's a bit of a wild guess. And look at this, he's playing the mind games again. He's throwing down the Spire, assuming it'll be scouted in his base. It's the complete reversal. You are cheeky, Nerchio.
Well, you know, some players like to play with their opponent's head. And Nerchio seems to be that one, and we'll see how this is going to work out here. What does MaNa scout? How does he scout? He's doing damage early on, though, which is good for him.
I think MaNa has to realize, well, you know, I've revealed these Phoenix this early. If I now see the Spire, why are you still making this Spire with me having these many Phoenix out, already putting on the pressure? It could come down to that, but for now, still putting on a lot of good aggression here, killing off Overlords. But for now, you know, not really. Actually, no,
well, one thing that the Phoenixes can pick up on, which I'm not too sure if any of the people know, is that if he goes over the Hydralisk Den and the Roach Warren in a couple of seconds, he would see them researching something because it moves a little bit. And then he'd be like, well, if you go Spire play, then why would you upgrade Roach speed? So if MaNa's thinking smart, then... But he's seen the Spire and he started Phoenix production again.
He is getting Immortals as well, so it's a very... It's almost exactly the same build here from
he's
MaNa.
looking around. Is he going to find anything, though?
He should ideally go Overlord hunting, right? And then in the process of that... Nope.
Very close, though.
Oh,
very close.
It's the exact same situation, but completely reversed. Oh, MaNa.
Well, no Phoenixes are being continued to made, though, if you look. He's added on 3 extra gateways. He's going to expand shortly. I'm waiting. I'm actually just in silence, waiting to see what he continues to do. So Phoenix prediction it is. He's going to continue building Phoenixes here. A 3rd base will come down shortly, I think. What's his probe count right now?
If he goes for a
56,
Fleet Beacon and Anium Pulse Crystals for any reason, that's a catastrophe, I feel.
Yeah.
This is going to be
12 Hydra, and he hasn't seen the Hydras yet. That's the big point here.
Yeah.
Is that if MaNa overcommits to this and Roach Hydra just come and kill his 3rd, there's no Colossus this time. MaNa is... Nerchio is in his head. It's that simple. He's inside, and he's flicking things. He's flicking things inside someone's head.
And it's really putting a dent in MaNa's control.
But he's seen it now. He's seen all the units move out. In the middle of the map, he just saw it with a Phoenix or a hallucinating Phoenix. He's seen the Hydra, and now the Robotics Blade comes down. Now the Nexus comes down. Now it's way too late.
It really is. Nerchio here is going to put on a lot of pressure. That is not that many units here for MaNa. He's lifting up Hydras where he can, but he has to move out for now. He doesn't have the Nexus finisher. He can't vote on overcharge this location. Throws down the Time Warp. And actually, this is a pretty good defense considering what's happened, but he's losing a few units here and there, and he's running out of energy.
But look at the mini-map. Look at the mini-map. There's nothing but units coming, and MaNa just doesn't have Colossus the amount of force fields he needs to deal with this. Nerchio, like I said, Colossus, he's flicking things in his head. MaNa is not doing well here, and I think he's dropping down to 0-2 is like the worst thing in the world, not just in a best-of-5 series, but for MaNa against Nerchio.
And he's not going to be able to save the Nexus either. Forces the cancellation. A great little play here by Nerchio as he continues his Roach production here, getting himself 1-1. Admittedly, he's a little bit behind in terms of those upgrades, and things are going to still stabilize out here. I think Nerchio wanted to do a lot more with that than he actually did.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal there was to kill him. He didn't kill him, so of course MaNa, survives in here. But because of the mind games, the one thing, as you said, and you brought up, I was going to bring it up, but you got to me first, was that through the mind game usage that we saw, is that the thing that was sacrificed to pull off this mind game was Evolution Chambers. If Evolution Chambers were down early, and MaNa had seen it, he'd never believe this mind game.
Yeah.
So that was the sacrifice here. And unfortunately, that could turn around to bite him in the bum. But we are going to have another attack. But there's a Colossus out. And good, actually, time warp there.
Yeah, really nice there. If those Roaches had been able to get in and get maybe 1 or 2 volleys off, they may have been able to force the cancellation a little bit quicker if they'd have got it. But for now, the Corruptors are on the way. Nerchio knows his opponent's tech. But MaNa's getting pretty good trades here.
And he's at +2. That's why he's getting these awesome trades. But the thing still, it is looking better for MaNa, absolutely looking better for MaNa. But the problem still going to remain is that Corruptors kick ass without upgrades. They're always good.
Yeah.
And when the Corruptors come into play, and if they bring down the Colossus, then the Hydras can do damage again still. But even with that, the amount of Stalkers, Blink is done, I think, is it?
Yes.
Blink is done as well, so the use here of Stalkers is going to be crucial.
Yeah, it really is. And, I mean, just eliminating that threat would be very, very useful. He has spotted this 4th base, so MaNa can go for the denial on that, limiting him to 3 bases here. He actually blinks forward.
Actually, if Nerchio fights now when 1-1 is done before +3 finishes, that's really not that bad. If you look at the weakness of Nerchio, his upgrades,
there's only
he
one
fights
Colossus
before
there.
+3. Exactly. This could actually work out for Nerchio here.
Oh, yeah, well, he's going to go and deny this base. It's 150 supply to 166, so the army sizes are going to be pretty darn even here. But still, well...
He just doesn't have that many units on the ground. Even if he does beat the Colossus and gets there before +3, just not enough. 174 supply. Good pick-off by MaNa, though. Super good pick-off to kill the 4th base there to limit the resources of Nerchio.
And I think now for MaNa, as he's established these 3 bases, it's looking a lot cleaner for him against Nerchio. Now he has a far larger chance of actually taking the victory here to tie up to 1-1 because, you know, this is where Protoss feels far more comfortable on 3 base, getting out Void Rays, getting Templar Archives, and trying to be able to combat this relatively mid-game composition.
It is going to be a tough mid-game composition to deal with, but Void Rays are amazing, and guess what joins Void Rays to be amazing? Storm! And Storm's going to be fantastic against this. So that's what, of course, MaNa's aiming for, is trying to build a perfect army off 3 bases.
And Nerchio just swinging in around here with his Corruptors, having a little look around. He did not see, well, he didn't see the Void Rays actually being produced, but he can assume that that's going to be the case eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the best composition is Void Ray Storm, so he's expecting that. We are going to have some Vipers enter the field momentarily here to pull out the Colossus, but there's only one Colossus. Me and Todd agreed, like Protoss brothers the other day, we said F Colossus in this matchup because High Tempo are much, much better nowadays. You know, Storm, it's not that they've improved themselves, but the way that the Zerg are playing is that the Vipers are so annoying. When you have Colossus, they just render them useless. They pull them out and they're gone. It's a waste of supply, it's a waste of money, but Storm, ooh dear Storm, feedbacks and Storm is pretty good.
Yeah, and just for, you know, like newer players out there that may be getting into Heart of the Swarm just now, or, you know, players that are of a little bit of a lower level, how did Apollo know that those Vipers were going to be coming out before the Hive Tech finished? Well, these evolution chambers are there so that they can sap them of energy and really accrue that energy very quickly to then be able to pull, and there we go.
Yeah, the consumability here from the... Look at that. Actually,
that's gooey.
It is kind of weird. It looks like they're actually doing something to the evolution chamber rather than sucking its hit points. Whoop. 75 minerals gone. But we do have a warp in inside the main base here with the just actually 3 Zealots. Not a big warp in, and Zealot charge isn't done either here. But 2-2 is about to be done for Nerchio. Nerchio obviously expecting a Colossus army, which is MaNa's favorite unit, really. He loves his Colossus. Well, that's not what he has, and Storm's going to be crucial here.
Yeah, very much so. I think that, you know, with the Great Aspire now on the way for Nerchio, he's finding his a little bit of a comfort zone as well, but if MaNa just continually makes Void Rays, he only has actually 1 out right now. I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't continued that, and he is getting charge here as well, so investing his gas into a little bit of alternate techs, whilst Void Rays would be really good.
Well, this is going to be a straightforward denial here of this 4th base. Good Storm. Doesn't want to lose too many High Tempo, though. Oh, she loses quite a few. Yeah,
1 or 2 do go down there. 3rd one loses itself as well during all of this. And, well, actually, he could blink forwards and do quite a bit of damage. Does get 1 or 2 Corruptors there. Blinding Cloud goes down, though. Actually, he's shielding them really well, as well as the feedbacks. Pulling one of the Colossi goes in a bit of an odd direction, and the Stalkers are still there to complement it. The ground force of Nerchio is getting evaporated during all of this. So not bad for MaNa.
Well, Stalkers underneath the Blinding Cloud said, all right, guys, sleeves up, boxing gloves on. We're melee units. Let's go. And that's what we just saw, and they destroyed everything there. And I think, you know, this game really comes down to Nerchio's plan. You know, I'm pretty sure that's what the analysis guys are going to do. He finds the Hydrals down eventually, but it's going to come down to, you know, Nerchio's plan, the sacrifice he had to make, and it come back to bite him.
I don't know why that tickled me so much, but after about 21 minutes, it's, oh, there's a Hydralist dead next to my 4th base. Okay, then I guess I'll have to kill that off. But, you know, MaNa, he's got a lot of High Templars still around here. A lot, actually. 6 still accruing a good amount of energy there whilst using this Warp Prism harassment. I can't help but feel it's just there not to really do damage, but buying him time, limiting Nerchio from moving across the map. But he's 40 supply up here. And you know, Stalkers, as long as they get their +3 shields out, are going to be really, really strong against those Broodlords if they can blink forwards and never die.
There's really not that many Stalkers, though, to deal with these Broodlords, and MaNa doesn't actually know about the Broodlords. He'd be making Void Rays if he did. And he's about to find out, though, as he does see the Great Aspire, or had seen it on the way. He doesn't know if they are out yet, but he will now see them.
Yeah, he's actually just going to blink forwards there. One of the Broodlords go down, so does the second one. There's not really that many left. 4 left over. Fourth one's just about to die, but at the same time, actually MaNa warping in some Zealots there, going for a really, really good bit of harassment at the third. Storms rain down on that army as well here, but he doesn't have that much ground support.
Yeah, he loses quite a lot there. Second Stargate is coming in. And he lost all his high tempo there. That fight, you know, he definitely thought he could just win that fight there, but that wasn't quite the case. But in return, he picked a third off. That slows down Nerchio's income, which it should be a lot higher here. But MaNa's going to play defensive. He thought he could just go and win the game there, but now he has to return and defend and build his air up. He needs to start producing Void Rays. He has to start producing Void Rays.
Yeah, 2 at a time is very, very important right now. They need to be out to deal with the Corruptors, to deal with the Broodlords, and then eventually have free reign over everything on the ground, apart from a few Hydralisks here and there, but they're going to get melted if they're not too careful. As MaNa still defending his 4th base very nicely here, pushing Nerchio back. And Nerchio, well, there's still more Zealot harassment going on everywhere.
Yeah, harassment is going to keep Nerchio back, because if the harassment wasn't going on, Nerchio would probably be making his way towards MaNa's 4th, which is vulnerable at this moment. And that's a lot of Roach Hydra. Where are the Void Rays? Where are they? Where are they?
They're on the way. Where
are they?
Well, yeah.
That's my Batman impression.
That's pretty good.
Swear to me! Swear to me!
Oh, God. Oh, Jokers. Oh, so much good fun. As for now, we do indeed have those Void Rays on the way. A few more Broodlords coming out here for Nerchio, but his army composition is slowly becoming more and more redundant. The more Void Rays that come out here for MaNa, and the more time Nerchio gives his opponent, the less chance Nerchio has of taking a battle, and then no amount of Corruptors that he makes off the back of this with his very small bank, or no bank at all, is going to help him.
Void Rays, man.
Good stuff.
I actually, on a lighter note here, before the fight happens, I actually listened to Husky's Void Ray song the other day.
Yeah?
I just saw the Void Rays and I just thought about that song there. But going into the game, these Void Rays are going to do so much. The Hydras, yes, they are helpful. Yes, they have +2. But with 2 Colossus and Storm and Void Rays, this is, aside from Tempest, the composition that Zergs can't beat in Heart of the Swarm. Yep. This is it. And we're about to see it shown.
Yeah, he has 5 Corruptors. That's really not what he needs to deal with those. Those are going to melt so quickly. Even one of them dies off right now. He's got 5 more in production. That's what he needs. He's got a few Infestors actually being mixed in with this as well. Whoa, the Broodlords, you're way out of position. Where are you going? That could be quite lethal.
And here we go. Here's the composition. Here's the fight that MaNa wants to take. The Void Rays not in the best position. They're storming on top of his Void Rays. Got to be careful there.
Yeah, and those Broodlords died so ridiculously quickly. He needs to focus them down still a little bit again. But this ground army for MaNa is too strong regardless of the Void Rays. As soon as all of this dissipates, then it's going to be over. MaNa is looking phenomenal here in game number 2 after taking down the Corruptors and the Broodlords. 100 supply to 163. He's maxing out. Well, he's trying to recuperate on Hydralisks.
Yeah, Hydras is the best against what's there, but it doesn't matter. There won't be enough, unfortunately. And that composition's a bugger to deal with, and we just saw why. Even though, you know, Nerchio didn't have the best tools to deal with it. He didn't have a strong economy. He didn't have the best composition to deal with it either. But still, MaNa closes up the deal. Kind of went in there a little bit too early when the first Broodlords were morphed out. Didn't really have the best fight there, but immediately upon realizing what he was fighting against exactly, went home, built the right army, and come just to finish the job off.
And there you go, GG for game number 2. MaNa ties up the series 1-1.
And as I said in the midst of that game, it was a must-win for MaNa. Really, really is a must-win, and he got it. And now it's 1-1. It's equal. He's absolutely still in this.
Yep, he is. So that is going to tie things up. Impressive there by MaNa. It seems that Nerchio's strength here against MaNa is going to lie in that mid game. If MaNa gathers a little bit of speed going into that late game, it's going to have a hard time. But for now, we shall send it over to the analysis desk, guys, with Harstam, Todd, and Jorasar.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. MaNa tying up the series 1-1 there on Ohana. Another Stargate opening versus the 3-hatch from Nerchio. How did you guys think that game started off?
It started off pretty decently for MaNa, but Nerchio, he did a reverse fake, I guess we could call it, from the previous game, where this time, instead of hiding the Spire, he hid the Hydralisk den. Yeah. From there, I already knew he was going to make a lot of Hydralisks. You don't hide the Hydralisk den if you don't want to make Hydralisks. And he went for a big push and basically tried to prevent MaNa from going on a lot of units and taking a third safely. But MaNa, he was very fortunate. I mean, he went for a lot of gates with Blink and lots of Stalkers, which is going to be good in the defensive position against some kind of big Roach Hydra push. But in the end, Nerchio was able to kill quite some units, but MaNa held pretty well. Even though he didn't have a third, they were on the same worker counter at the end of that attack.
Yeah, I felt like Nerchio wanted to trick MaNa into going double Stargate like he did last game, or at least in very heavy Phoenix production. He didn't actually build a fleet beacon. He didn't go +1 air upgrades like he did last game. He just wanted to go for Blink, 8 gateways, then a really late third base, which was in this case the right call. I felt like he maybe even did that because he saw so many roaches early on. He wanted to feel a little bit more safe. And then Nerchio just didn't really have the eco to back it up. He was on 58 probes against 58 probes after that attack.
So at this point now, we're in a best-of-5 series. It's 1-1. Of course, potential 3 games left. You've just won a series as MaNa. You're feeling reasonably confident, especially with that proxy Hydraless Den as well. Your opponent had something prepared for you. It didn't work. You won the game. What's going through your head now at this point in the series? Like, is it a big confidence booster for him? Is he going to stick with his game plan? Do we see any like little tweaks to his strategy in the remainder of the series?
Well, if I was MaNa, I would be thinking, man, I'm so good. I just won that. But strategically wise, I think he did okay. And his late game composition kind of hints that he realizes finally the power of Void Race. I mean, it took him a lot of games to finally go for some Colossus Void Race, and then in the end, it really worked.
Yeah, I feel like the safest thing for MaNa to do is to just open Blink every game. Because Nerchio really seems to like the Void Race, and Blink actually is the safest option against both Mutas. And it's decent, I would say, against Hydra and Roach pushes. So if you would just open with pretty quick +2 and Blink and like an 8 or 9 minute expand, I think he would be fine in most games. But I'm not sure if that is the style that MaNa wants to go for. He really seems to enjoy going for Stargate.
All right, we're going to take a quick look at the replay. We're first going to take a look at the last fight, sort of starting at around the 26-minute, 30-second mark.
Yeah, we were supposed to show earlier, but I mean, we just, while the replay was fast-forwarded, we covered pretty much everything. So from there, Nerchio, he actually went for Corruptors first, and then he ended up going for Vipers as well. I didn't really agree with that, but then he decided to transform those Corruptors into Broodlords. He had a couple Broodlords here, but he has no real anti-air. And his army supply is going to be 122 to 132 for MaNa. MaNa's upgrades were great. He was 3-2.
No air upgrades, but that didn't really matter because there were 4 Hydras, 3 Corruptors, and MaNa had 5 Phoenix and 5 Void Rays. He did storm his own Void Rays though, but that didn't really matter at this point anymore.
The best anti-air in this fight was the storm used on his own units by MaNa. So MaNa was able to crush Nerchio's army, but I think the real reason, the main reason he lost this game for MaNa is that he didn't hit a big timing. You know, when you go for Colossus and lots of Blink Stalkers, if you hit a timing at 170 or even if you can get maxed and your opponent only has tier 2, no Vipers, you will always win. Always. But MaNa, he went into this turtle mode where basically he wasn't attacking. So actually, I said it wrong. He won, but I feel like at some point he should have lost because of that. But Nerchio not making the right mix here was just too much for MaNa. What do you agree, Hassan?
Yeah, I think it was just not the unit composition. Also because he lost his fourth base, he didn't really have gas to go into a more heavy Broodlord mode or more Hydras. I felt like he really need to rely on Roaches for a mineral sink. So. Yeah.
We'll see if either player chooses to switch it up in game number 3. The scores are tied 1-1, ladies and gentlemen, in this best of 5. Throwing it back over to our commentators here, we have Apollo and Kalaris.
All right, guys, welcome back. Game number 3. Newkirk City is our map between Mouse, MaNa, and Ace Nerchio. Tying things up 1-1, gotta say. Actually, the fight is in both players' hands.
All right, I'm going to be completely serious on what's going through Nerchio's mind.
All right.
Fun times are over. No more mind games.
Yeah, that's true.
No more silly stuff. It's just going to be brutal force.
Yeah.
That's what I think's coming out next.
I have to agree with you. Nerchio, he's done and dusted with hiding things, probably. He's just going to go straight for what he knows best, which is just playing super solid through the mid game, going straight on into the late game with a very, very strong composition. So for now, Nerchio and MaNa loading up onto Newkirk City. as we do have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, tying things at 1-1 as our blue Protoss. He goes by the name of MaNa. And spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner as our red Zerg. He goes by the name of Acer Nerchio.
All right. Acer has a full squad of players here, actually, including MMA, Scarlet. I haven't actually seen MMA yet.
He was actually had a few pictures of him taken with MaNa, giving him a hug. So, yeah, and he said to the photographer, "You must give me the pictures. Do you understand me?" Like, okay. An interesting response there from MMA. But, yeah, he's around and about.
I'll have to go find him later on. Shame he couldn't play in this tournament. Shame he didn't qualify for this tournament, should I say. Would have been nice to have him in there. He's been performing quite well recently, but there are a lot of other good Terran players in this tournament, which we'll be featuring a little bit later on.
Yep, Yoda and Dream and MVP looking very, very dominant here. I've still got my hopes up for Dream. I want to see that guy do well. It's always like the really young players kind of coming through the ranks here. It's nice to see them perform very well because, you know, if they can perform that well at that age, what are they going to be like in 2 or 3 years' time?
That's right. And I think he's going to be very good. Very, 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 very good. But, you know, getting into this game now, we are going to have this pylon bot by MaNa. And if you enjoyed that pylon bot, make sure to hashtag IEM on Twitter.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Hashtag IEM, hashtag pylon block. Thanks very much, guys. As for now, he's just going to shark around, having a little bit of a look-see. Maybe cancel and then just go for the scoop. But no, going to go to the third. Yeah,
we got quite a late Forge coming in. So behind this Nexus, of course, I'm just trying to... I wonder what MaNa's going to play. I guess Stargate, again, is kind of the best of all kind of openings to do.
Yeah, maybe. It's Newkirk City. It's a map where, you know, actually there's a lot of space to try and control, being relatively close by air can actually help out. And also, you know, darting between the 3 bases, because they're so close to one another, you know, it's harder for Queens to walk around everywhere to actually try and defend. If you haven't actually been, haven't seen it before, like, so you haven't gone for spores, etc.
This probe had the option to scout the gas inside Nerchio's main.
Oh, might even still get it.
No, it shouldn't, not with the Queen there. And he doesn't see the gas, so I don't think that Nerchio wants to play games anymore, but given an opportunity to do so, he may. He absolutely may, and if it's going to be anything, then it could be early roaches, but with the 3rd base coming down, it may just be for speed here, and then get out of gas, because he can't really afford to do everything here.
Yeah.
He's out of gas with 2, so it's just going to be for Zergling speed. Make sure to keep MaNa inside his base, keep scouting options minimal, and also to deal with any form of movement out or something from Zealot Stalkers early on. Because, of course, on this map, the distance between natural and 3rd, quite a way sometimes, so Zealot Stalker, or Zealot Stalker, some kind of combination of gateway units sometimes do come out.
Yeah, and for now, Nerchio just keeping a good eye on his opponent's natural, seeing 76 core timing, etc. And really, you know, this is exactly why MaNa kept that one probe there at the front for quite a long time there, just making sure that if any Zerglings were to come along, he could throw down a gateway pretty fast and block that off, because, as we all know, Nerchio 9 times out of 10 seems to just get lings in, but he didn't even try this game.
It's quite an early Mothership core here. Before any gas has been really spent on +1 or any kind of structure. With a Mothership core out so early, if he shows it, then it's not what I think it's going to be. But I think that what we're going to see is saving up the energy really early on, and then we could see either a gateway timing move out. We could see Robo play again, as mentioned. But with such a, I mean, think of, whenever I look at a strategy and I try to think about it, you look at what it can do, but then you, to really break it down, you look at what it could have been. Why would you get the Mothership core? Why wouldn't you be Chronos and probes? Why wouldn't you want a faster upgrade? Why wouldn't you have a faster tech? So, you know, if you deconstruct it like that, then I think that that's the best way to break down a strategy. And with the gateways hidden like this, I think that's, see, that's how thought process works, Colaris. It kind of comes out, because usually it's all in my brain, but I try to do it live right there. So it's going to be a 6 gateway attack with +1 with Mothership core. It's going to have 2 time warps by the time the fight is actually rolling. It's got 1 right now. It'll have another 1 in 50 energy time. The Mothership core's been revealed. Zealot Stalk out there as well. Carapace is on its way.
Really liking the choice of Carapace this early. Really liking that. Nerchio, oh, and actually he might be able to see the entirety of what his opponent is up to. He sees one gateway on that very edge. Will he actually scout? Oh,
Yo, that's a good scout. It's a good scout, and that 4 drones will be the last amount of drones we'll see in this game. And that's a good surround on the initial Zealot. If he can get the Stalker, it would be perfect. If he can get the Stalker, the Zealots there chasing when there's the Pro. If he gets the Probe Pylon, this is amazing. Yeah, this double spines on the way as well. Good scouting there, really good scouting.
Throwing down the Roach Warren as well as the Lair, trying to tech up a little bit behind all of this. And I mean, he sees what he sees what he needs to. And with that now, actually, it's even more than 6 gates. I think he just threw down an extra 2 at the natural. So it's actually, oh no, yeah, okay. So we have, 8 gates in total. This is a massive, massive push here by MaNa, and it's pretty much all or nothing for him. There's so many Zerglings in production, as well as Spine Crawlers, and the Roach one is going to finish up soon. I don't know if this is going to work with the Carapace finishing up.
Carapace is a gift. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Good force fields though, actually. But he's got to be careful not to use too many, otherwise he'll lose all the sentries. Good waste or use. Oh my god, I can't even get this up today. Good bait there from Nerchio to get those 2 extra force fields down, and he goes in again. If the sentries go down, the energy's already been expended, which is terrible news. Yeah,
2 force fields at any given time for around 2 or 3 Zerglings during those trades is a phenomenal, phenomenal trade there for Nerchio. And he feels so comfortable knowing that this is coming, that he's going for the Spire. He's getting clear reconstitution for his Roaches just in case all of this happens. And he's delayed him in the middle of the map for so ridiculously long.
This is perfect. And 4th gas is coming down for MaNa. He's like, well, I guess this kind of didn't work. And with Roach speed on the way and Roaches, this just completely fell flat on its face, and it really begun with the early scout there from Nerchio. The Spire's on its way, as you said, and Mutalists are going to be the downfall of the entire game.
Yeah, I strongly believe MaNa has just given up here. I don't really see what he can do. He cannot make this work now. After everything being scouted out for this long and trying to push across the map now, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, he's throwing down a 3rd Nexus. He's just going to use the mass amount of gateways, the mass amount of units he has to defend a 3rd. But building that Nexus, he needs to get a Robo, he needs to prepare for Roaches. Of course, Roaches have been shown, he needs to build Immortals. But he doesn't have anything to deal with Mutalists. No Twilight Council down, no Blink, no cannons in his Mineral Lines. And very shortly, we should be seeing a lot of Mutalists made. And that's going to be very difficult to deal with, if not almost impossible.
And all MaNa knows about right now is the fact that his opponent has a Lair. He's going to send a Hallucinated Phoenix over there to try and spot what he needs to see, but by the time he spots it, I think it's just a little bit too late. He needs to continually warp in Stalkers from now on. He'll be able to hold for now, but Nerchio is going to stretch him really thinly across these 3 bases.
Nerchio doesn't want to keep up with upgrading his ground units as well, though. I mean, it's nice to upgrade your Mutalists. They have been spotted early, and now we're going to see MaNa's reaction, but it is also kind of cool to keep upgrading. For example, +2 Carapace, +1 melee for the Link, since you've already got the Carapace down here, and it is going to be a very Ling-heavy Mutalist play. But this 3rd base will help out. The thing we need to see come down is the Twilight Council. He needs Blink. He needs the mobility. And if he doesn't, with the new Mutalist change, they are faster here. But as I say that, where is MaNa going?
He looks to go for some kind of assault.
He needs to come back.
Yeah, he really does. I mean, he doesn't want that 3rd dying off at all, but at the same time, there is almost a full wall off. The Zealot does warp in, but that's going to die off pretty quickly here, along with the cannon as well. Whoa, what, really?
It's a lot of units. He's been morphing just nothing but units. He's forgotten about tech, he's forgotten about upgrades, and MaNa's going to deal with it this way. He says, well, I am in trouble, but I still have 8 gateways, right? He's built no further probes. He's just stopped at 56. He's like, all right, that's it.
You know, this might actually just work here for MaNa. I mean, this army is so strong. There's only 2 Mutalists left on the field, 15 Roaches, 15 Zerglings. A lot of those are over at his opponent's base, actually trying to rip that up. But this onslaught of MaNa is so strong. He's just going to go for it. Force fields go down, trapping those Zealots straight up against those Roaches. And this is looking kind of bad for Nerchio.
What's Nerchio's drone count, if you don't mind me? 63. It's not that high. I don't think he really rushed his drone count as high as it could have been. And as you say, brute force from MaNa in this game is going to give him the edge over this fight. 15 Roaches and 20 Links. There's a lot of Spine Crawlers coming down in the main and on the 3rd. But I don't think he can do this.
Yeah, it's as if Nerchio comes in with the rapier, swinging it around very, 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 very smoothly, but MaNa comes in with the sledgehammer and takes out the naturals so ridiculously fast. Both players are supply blocks right now. There's not going to be any more extra units. Doesn't mean Roaches popping out.
Yeah.
But they're going to pop out like right next to this army unless they're at the third.
I'm sure that Nerchio was like, how did this even happen?
Yeah.
He went for an 8-gate. It failed.
Catastrophically, in fact.
He then fell on nothing and just took a Nexus, but he just kept on building units and killed me.
Wow.
Nerchio is going to be, I guarantee he's going to be upset about this loss, and that's a good thing for MaNa.
Yeah.
And the rivalry continues here.
The rivalry is heating up to higher levels than it ever has done. Nerchio is on the ropes. The Spine Crawlers are going to try and burrow here. Great force field seal off all of those Roaches. Dealing with a lot of the Spines first, but the creep does help those Roaches a lot. Swinging on around here, trying to catch some of those Stalkers on the flank. But still great force fields continuously here from MaNa. And now he's not supply blocked anymore. He's making another Nexus. There is another hatchery going down for Nerchio, but he has no units left.
Yeah, he's got no units left here, and with more and more Stalkers being made to defend against whatever is left at his house, or his main base over here, and then just to rejoin with the rest of his units. That's exactly what he's going to be aiming for. He's got a new Nexus, he can continue mining, he can continue to build probes, and Immortal's coming out, and that's going to see the end of times.
What are we seeing here? This is wild. Nerchio, with such a great lead in this match, was just like, oh, what? This is actually going to happen? And it is.
Yeah.
MaNa is killing off the layer. Admittedly, Nerchio is trying to rebuild everything up to the north, but with this amount of Stalkers, and if MaNa just continues the, actually just producing a few units here, there's really nothing Nerchio can do.
And Nerchio's very resilient to, to just give up here. But he's going to have to be soon. With Immortals joining the forces, there's just nothing. He's got nothing here. Sound is 73 supply compared to 110. This is just a weird game and a weird series, to be honest. If you think about the way that 1 and 2 was played out, game 1 and 2 was these mind games from Nerchio and things that don't make sense but are making sense. And then this game is wacky.
I think MaNa just assumes his opponent's army is just so much stronger than this right now than it actually is. He's afraid to leave this ramp. He wants the safety of it. He's going to recall by the looks of things.
Yeah, just get out there. I mean, he's trying to go down a ramp, and every time he tries it, Nerchio just kind of gets a better surround, so you might as well just go back, meet with the reinforcements, and take it from there. But this series it is much more than just high-level StarCraft. It's StarCraft, but it's much more mind games than anything else here. It's because these players are both Polish. They've met each other time after time after time in tournament after tournament after tournament. They're playing against each other. It's like, for example, you're playing a heads-up poker tournament. You're not playing your cards, you're playing the opponent's head, and that's what it feels. This series, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think nobody out there can truly appreciate how much MaNa wants this victory. He has constantly been battered down by Nerchio, and he's going to push him once again. There's not enough Roaches. The time warp goes down in units that can't even move anyway. There you go, GG. Game number 3 goes to MaNa. And again, I can't emphasize enough, MaNa wants this so badly.
Of course. I mean, to break a curse, how much does Grubby want to beat Stefano?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You have to try to beat this curse. It's an uphill battle every time. It's every time you look at the bracket, you're like, oh no, not him again. Every other tournament, oh no, not him again. And it's happened here. But this time, MaNa's leading 2 wins to 1 loss with just one game to break the curse.
Yeah. And well, that is going to do it for game number 3, guys. We shall send it over to our analysis desk with Todd Harston and Jorisar.
All right, so we had a pretty neat victory there. MaNa must be feeling quite confident. Of course, he wants to beat Nerchio so badly, as the guys at the commentating desk told us. And he decided to try and do that at the start of this game with that massive +1 gateway timing. What did you guys think of that?
I thought it was a good decision. Nerchio likes to skip the Roach Warren every now and then, and
he did that this game.
Yeah, he skipped the Roach Warren this game. So I actually thought MaNa was just going to kill him. He was in a great position until Carapace was going to finish. At least that was what was going to happen in our heads. But then he somehow, I think we're going to hop into the replay now.
Yeah, that's right. The first point we want to take a look at in this replay, ladies and gentlemen, is around the 8-minute mark, where MaNa moves out against Nerchio. But is this a little bit too soon? Todd, talk us through what's going on here.
I think the timing is correct, but the thing about this map is that you have 2 watchtowers in the middle, and Zerg will always have them with a couple Zerglings. But now, MaNa went too far. I mean, he should have stayed here with his units, because going all the way over here, really, hints that he wants to attack, and he was facing a lot of Zerglings, so he ended up losing his units, and that probe wasn't able to make it to the other side of the map here. So he's going to make a pylon here at the watchtower. If you do this kind of aggression with that many gates, you're going to want to have a pylon over here or even down there. But now it was just so far for it to really work, and Nerchio here with a really nice flank on those sentries is going to force a couple of force fields, and just from there, for MaNa, it's just so hard to go forward. And when you open with this kind of opener, you commit a lot to it. He's going to find himself behind on economy behind this, even though he's already mining on his third gas. He's already started remaking probes, and from there, he was in a very awkward position. You know, he tried to go for a third, but he had mostly Zealots and sentries. We had Mutas on the way. It was just a tough spot for MaNa at this point.
And at that point, when the aggression just didn't quite work out for him, it, as you mentioned, really, really tough spot, but at least he did go back home and he started his economy again. Once he knew that the mutas were coming, and of course he started incorporating more stalkers into his army and stuff like that, what really is his response? Like, what should he be thinking at that point of the game?
Well, I thought, let's throw down a Twilight Council, a lot of cannons, defend with the Mothership Core. Nerchio actually was on really low economy once again. So he was on 60 drones or 61, and MaNa was on 60 or 58 as well.
All right, well, we're going to take a look at the replay here, going up to the 13-minute mark, where we see MaNa now pushing out once more against Nerchio, but Nerchio pulling him back with the Mutalisks.
Yeah, MaNa, he invested a lot into those gate units. He didn't have any kind of tech going on, really. I mean, he had no Twilight. He was just +1, and he wanted to hit a big timing here to do some damage. But the problem is Nerchio immediately went for the base rate. So MaNa here, he uses Photon Overcharge to really try and kill as many units as he can. And his army supply right now is really high. He's up to 70 army supply to the 62 of Nerchio. He just has to salvage the situation as much as possible. He's going to try to get rid of all of those units here and basically kill Nerchio with all this. And Nerchio, he didn't have time to react. He didn't have time to make spines. So we see him making a couple spines here in his main. But I mean, it's already too late. Look at this army. You would need 15 spines to really hold this. And there is no way these drones can escape because of the force fields. So MaNa here, he was in a great position after this. I mean, this many units, when you have a lot of gates, with just a saturation on one base, 43 out of 24, you can just make a lot of units and just try to defend.
All right, so you're in Nerchio's position right now. Of course, you've enjoyed a history in Wings of Liberty over your opponent, but now you find yourself 2-1 down. Does he have to come out with something funky here, or will he be able to rely on his normal game to hopefully defeat MaNa in Game 4?
I think he's going to do some kind of two-base timing, either Hydra, Swarm Host. I'm not sure how used Nerchio is to the new units, so we might not see Swarm Host, but Nerchio was known for being able to do all kinds of different stuff. He could throw out Baneling Bus, Roach All-Winds, he could basically do anything, and MaNa played pretty greedy in the games that he played Stargate, getting +1 before the
we're
sentry.
talking about the Baneling Bus being able to really kill MaNa in one of those games. And we might see Nerchio finally mixing it up. I think overall, it's not as much strategical as decisions. It's really his decisions that have been making him lose the last few games.
We'll see if he can improve his spur-of-the-moment decision-making here in the next game. Guys, we're heading over back to Apollo and Colaris to guide you onto Cloud Kingdom.
Thanks, guys. Game number 3, 4 even, I should say. Cloud Kingdom is our map, loading up and getting good to go. This man here has a little bit of a tough time ahead of him.
Absolutely, with MaNa taking a 2-1 lead in this best of 5. It's going to be difficult. He's going to have to win the next 2 games if he's going to advance. Remember that it only gets more difficult in this tournament. Whoever wins this best of 5 series plays MVP.
Yeah, and that that's a whole other mountain. That's an entire vista of mountains. As for now, we jump in onto Nerchio and MaNa here for game number 4, round of 16, Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. As we do have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner as our blue Protoss. Currently 2 games up to 1. He goes by the name of Mouse MaNa. And spawning up to the top right-hand corner here as our red Zerg. He goes by the name of Acer Nerchio.
So we're about to see how this potential last game is going to develop between these 2 players that have met time after time. Do you know the scores between them?
The actual score?
Or close to it?
Well, MaNa took, I'm pretty sure he took no series off him in Wings of Liberty. And then
most of the games were quite one-sided as well, right? So
actually, interestingly enough, I think at the end of the WCS Poland, I think MaNa took the first series off him in the grand final, but did not take the second series, so Nerchio still won regardless.
So he's won like a series.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And then a lost in the extended series or from the loser bracket or whatever it's called. So not a good ratio and balance there for MaNa. But going into this, if he's able to break this curse, and as we call it a curse, is if he's able to break this deadlock against Nerchio, it can just turn the other way around very easily, actually.
It was just a catastrophic mental block that he had during Wings of Liberty. You would always see Zerglings actually getting in there. And yeah, apparently my memory serves me well.
Yeah, MaNa did win a best-of-3 in the WCS Poland qualifiers, and then lost in the second best-of-3 because he was coming from the loser bracket. So lost overall, but did win a best-of-3 series. But into this game now, of course, spawn and pull opening, quite standard here for Nerchio. In terms of options, I don't think that he's going to use any mind games, not when his tournament life is on the line. This is very important for Nerchio now. It's not just to advance to the quarterfinals, to the next round, the quarterfinals. It's also that he doesn't want to lose to MaNa. They've had a lot of rivalry, and it's not just in game 2. It's out of game as well. Both of them, you know, trying to fight for first place in Poland at all these different tournaments, and it would be embarrassing for Nerchio, having won so easily so many times. As he said in the interview pre-game, is that he's kind of expected to win, but Heart of the Swarm changes that up, and we'll see what's going to happen. And
I mean, not only is it just advancing on, but I mean, the jump in prize money from 9th to 12th to 5th to 8th is like $1,350 alone. So with $100,000 up for grabs over the entirety of the tournament, every single jump from here on is a massive one.
And remember, guys, this is just the first series of the day. The second series coming up, the second best-of-5, is going to be Stefano against Parting. Another great series, and it'll be an amazing Protoss versus Zerg. But going into this game now, Overlords are slowly getting into position. We have one on the natural, one towards the back of MaNa's base. And Nerchio has to keep eagle eyes on the Forge, on the gases in the main base, going in at the right time here to make sure that nothing slips his focus.
I'm still a fan on this map of the earlier Mothership core to eventually push this Overlord away, because you don't necessarily oftentimes get, you know, high ground vision very early as a Protoss unless you're guaranteed going to Stargate or Robo, which takes a long time. Mothership core can come out relatively quickly, and then you have a Stalker out and you push that away, and there's the Mothership core on the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely can be for vision, as you said, to eliminate that Overlord, but it also can be for what we talked about previously. Again, the same thought process applies here. Why is it being built now? Why is that not an extra probe? What does he want to do with it? You know, is he saving it for energy? Will he reveal it? Is it for scouting? You know, so these are the things that can branch away from the Mothership core. I don't think he's going to just save it, though. It's against Nerchio in a potential final match. And he has to put it at the front, which is not just plain hiding it. So I feel that this is more so going to be for scouting than anything else here.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be. He's going to move that into the middle of the map. It provides him ample, well, relative map awareness and map control that, well, there you go. He's going to push that one away as well. Because it's such a good dynamic. Every time I'm playing on this map against Zerg, I'm like, right, I want rid of that Overlord right now. I mean, he's seen +1 on the way, sure, but it's still a pesky thing because it always sees units moving out as well.
And a Quiddy Fast Slayer coming down here from Nerchio. Hasn't really seen too much on what's going on. Quite a normal game, but no Roach Warren and Evolution Chamber coming down yet, which is a little bit scary here, considering that the +1 is on the way. A Spine Krill is the defense set up here. And with the Mothership core out early, with the Zealot and Stalker, we could see a bit of pressure. Still been making drones. Only 4 links just now coming in.
Looks like he is going to apply the pressure. It's going to try and go for the Queen first. Second Queen pops at exactly the right time here to try and focus down that Mothership core. And don't know if he's going to be able to get it here as he does retreat on back, keeping that safe and dandy. So for now, you know, Zealot for, it's fine.
Robotics Facility and Twilight Council coming down here. The Robotics Facility has to get an observer out first straight away. He has to figure out what's going on. With all 6 gases being taken, very easily can see Mutilus play here. Not the best on this map though, so the switch over to Swarm Host definitely could be there, but without Evolution Chambers to upgrade his Swarm Host, why would you make Swarm Host? So it should be Mutilus play, and there's the Spire coming down.
And there's the Observer as well. He needs to spot that pretty darn quickly, but as you can see quite clearly, he's stopped with the mind game. This is just straight up him going for mutas, and from this point on, MaNa should be able to spot it and react accordingly recently.
It's such a greedy, dangerous opening from Nerchio. If there was any attack coming with, 6-8 gateway again, he was dead this game.
Pretty much.
It was a big risk not to get a Roach Warren and get even Zergling speed. It was such a fast layer. So, he's definitely making his Mutalisk play stronger because it was earlier and he's got more gases faster. That means he's going to have more Mutalisk at a faster time. Ooh. And that's going to be good. That's obviously good. Yep. Though, if we look on the flip side, MaNa is not in the worst place. He has Blink on the way. He has +2 coming down. He is going to scout soon, but does he scout soon is the big point here. Where is that Observer? Making its way across Mothership Core as well. Time Warp on the natural mineral line.
Yeah, denying a little bit of that income for now as the Observer does poke around at the third. He actually, I think he just saw the glimpse of a fourth as well, so that is going to be quite useful. Oh, no, he doesn't really know about it. It should wander over.
MaNa still doesn't really know. He wouldn't be building that Immortal if he knew that it was Mutalisk play, and that Observer, it's showing a fourth base, but it isn't showing what army composition. Maybe he might start to realize upon seeing a fourth and fifth base at the same time. Only Mutalisk players will do that. Otherwise, it's too difficult to defend both, you see. So he is going to move out, and this is actually very dangerous. This is actually very dangerous.
Oh.
He's looking to cancel that base, but Mutalisk have popped. They're out. They're actually on the field.
And, oh, that Observer, I think he may have just seen a Mutalisk there as well. Oh, he certainly sees a lot of Mutalisks flying straight through him. But for now, the Mutas are on the way to the natural, whilst this base is going to be cancelled. He's started the cannons back at home, but they're not in the most amazing position there to actually deal with that harassment at the natural.
And we're going to see an attack here from MaNa, and already drones being pulled towards this third base. The Mutalisks go in and are picking up probes already. Cannons being made in defense. Nerchio needs to get his units together. He needs to get his forces together. Otherwise, he's going to lose his natural himself.
Yeah, admittedly, he doesn't have that much anti-air there. He needs to throw down a force field on that ramp so he can deny reinforcement, reinforcing Zerglings from the main. And
it's a lot of probes killed, though, here, Kalaris.
Yeah,
it's really a lot of probes killed. 27. 27 already. Overlords need to be made, and 7 are being made. If Nerchio could tie this series up.
Nerchio with a very, very good swing into the third as well, with Zerglings really denying that the probes. 36 actually killed off thus far. Only 24 left. MaNa needs to do big damage here with this, but I think he's just anticipating the recall as soon as those mutas pop on back. But he's taking so much damage himself, he's just focusing down hatcheries.
It has to be a recall here.
Yeah. Oh, the Mothership is going to go. Mothership core! Mothership core!
Why didn't he recall?
I don't know, but all the sentries are going to die now here, and MaNa is just dead and buried. What?
If he'd recalled there and had gone back with all his units, then he could have reinforced.
I'm sort of in shock.
That was a big mistake there.
Yeah, that was. And now, I mean, yeah, MaNa killed hatcheries, but there's already other hatcheries active for him to transfer all the drones that he didn't kill too. Admittedly, he got 16 worker kills, but 45 workers to 27? That... Nerchio he retains all of his army whilst MaNa doesn't. He's in the grave.
I can't believe I'm still shocked that he didn't recall that. He just threw everything away and he had to. But going over to what's happening next is a GG from MaNa. This is a disastrous position. He's got no Stalkers left. He's got 8 Stalkers, a Zealot, and 24 probes. The Stalkers are dying to the Mutalisk, and behind this 94 supply. Bases, at least 2 are mining. There's 5 hatcheries in total on the map. Lings are being made. The layer is being rebuilt.
Yeah. And all he has to do is now say, well, MaNa's like, oh god, he has Mutalisks, now I have to make a ton of Stalkers, but Lings are just going to come in and flood, and that's all the Stalkers are going to be killing whilst the Mutalisks are doing the damage. It's, and look, MaNa, Dark Shrine, let's try.
There's already Kalaris, there's already 850 gas in the bank. By the time the spy finishes, you're looking at 14 to 1500 gas. 15 Mutalisks. Can MaNa defend that? No. It's as simple as that. He can't defend it.
It's impossible. I mean, unless for somehow, some way he got, well, he does have a ton of gas himself, but he needs to recuperate all of his mineral losses here. He needs to somehow morph in Archons and then take a third. Or it's just, and even with DT harassment, it's really not going to put a dent too much in what Nerchio's doing. He has his layer tech back, can easily morph in some Overseers, and he should be fine.
Yeah, he's more than fine. He's got this game in his pocket, and MaNa really gifted him that. I mean, it wasn't sure that MaNa was going to win, but the probability of him winning sunk to rock bottom when he didn't recall. That's such a big mistake there. But going on to this game now and looking at it, there's the 500 and 1500 gas. MaNa already knows there's no way in. Nerchio ties that series up.
No way, GG. As Nerchio, yeah, impressive play by him, but MaNa, the recall it's grinding my gears, Apollo, but anyway, it's going to do it for Game 4.
Well, we're going to the final game. We are going to Game 5 between Nerchio and MaNa. It's been such a scrappy series, left and right, blows coming all over. Yeah. We'll have to ask our analysis to clear that one up for us.
We shall indeed, so we'll send it over to the analysis desk in just a little bit, as Game 5 is, well, I mean, it wouldn't have been the Polish rivalry it is if it hasn't culminated in the last one game.
That's right, man.
So we'll send it over to the analysis desk with Jorsar, Harstam, and Todd.
Thank you very much, guys. Going into game number 5 between the two Polish superstars here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. That game on Cloud Kingdom was pretty intense. We started off, of course, with the +2 Twilight, and we also saw that Nerchio once again decided to skip his Roach Warren.
Yeah, this is what we refer to as the Forsen Muras strategy, which includes lots of droning, little to no scouting, and skipping the Roach Warren. The Swedish Zerg Forsen made this popular.
Yeah, I like during the game how you asked Jorsar if he knows the Forsen Muta, and he's like, I know Forsen, but I don't know Forsen Muta. And then I said, well, you haven't played against him then. And MaNa, if we jump into the replay here, we're going to see exactly how he took his third, and he went into Blink and +2, as mentioned. He has this one observer over here that's going to be able to spot all the spining that's happening by Nerchio. And I mean, I think right now he's realizing what might be happening, so he's going to move toward this base to get a sure cancel. He can recall behind this if he has to, if a couple units try to get into there. And now he's going to see the Mutas fly toward this expansion. And his reaction will be to counterattack. So he's getting a proxy pylon, and he's actually on a lot of gates with Blink Stalkers and +2. This is a nice timing for him to hit. And I mean, the choice is not perfect to hit. Obviously, it didn't work, but I think I kind of agree with him. I might have taken the same decisions, but maybe sent back my Mothership Core to really try to use Photon Overcharge, which was what he did in the previous game. He attacked with only his units and used Photon Overcharge to help defend against this force. But here, he's not mining anymore. He's going to lose his third. He's losing a lot of probes immediately. And in the meantime, Nerchio is on many bases. He has this one base that's fully mining, this one only has a couple drones, and all of those drones, they were mining a lot of extra time here. So he's already gonna having some kind of a bank going for him. And Nerchio, after this, he comes back, he snipes the Mothership Core so that no recall is possible for MaNa, and those units are stuck. Yep. They will die, and MaNa's chances to win this game with it.
All right, thank you very much for that, Todd. We're going into game number 5. Both players have played extremely well here. MaNa taking 2 games off of Nerchio, and Nerchio coming back with that build we saw there on Cloud Kingdom. Any predictions for anything we're going to see in the final match?
Mutas. We've seen Mutas like 4 times now. It would surprise me to see anything but Mutas. But
me too, but I think if there is a game where you can finally, you know, we've seen very important games, best of 5s being decided by a cheese in the last game. So will Nerchio there or not? Well, I have to find out. And MaNa?
MaNa is also the guy that can cheese.
Yeah, but what can he do? He's not going to proxy gates Nerchio? Or
well, he did 2-gate against Sting yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. We saw that replay this morning.
2-gate against Command Center first. So, yeah, MaNa has... he
you know what I want to see out of MaNa? 2 Stargates.
2 Stargates? Blindly.
Yeah, blindly. 2 Stargates.
Saving up 10
Forge Opener, 2 Stargates. You hide, like, say, 6 Phoenixes, and then you move out. And if Nerchio has gone for Mutas, it might be very good. You know, I do this a lot against Bly on ladder. Every time I meet Bly, I go for like standard, and then I hide 2 Stargates, and then every time, as soon as I have 8 Phoenixes, I meet 8 Mutas, and I'm like, yes, fist bump.
All right, well, we'll see if that ends up happening here, guys. This is the 5th and final game in this best of 5. Apollo, Kalaris, take it away.
Thanks very much, guys. MaNa looking very, very focused here to go into game number 5, but you cannot take it away from Nerchio either. Oh my god, game number 5 is going to be on Metropolis.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd do? Do you know what I would do in game number 5 if I was MaNa? I'd proxy 2 gateways, I'd build the pylon, I'd proxy 2 gateways, and 90% I'd cancel both of them and expand. Because then he'd cancel his hatchery, he'd build a lot of lings, and then I'd expand.
Well, okay then, we shall see if that comes to fruition here for MaNa, as we have him going up against Nerchio. Game number 5, the deciding match to see who advances on to the round of 8 to play LGIM's MVP. So spawning up to the north here as our blue Protoss. He goes by the name of MaNa. And spawning down to the south, representing the Zerg in the color red, he is Acer Nerchio.
The final game comes down to Metropolis, a massive, massive map.
God.
It takes, for any Terran and Protoss player that play against Zerg, you have to beat 3 Zerg armies by the time you get to their economy line. It's a big map. It's going to take a lot out of both of these players, physically and mentally. And I'm interested to see who wins the war.
Yep. This map has produced some interesting games in the past. Will it be able to do so here as Nerchio and MaNa now? I think that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if MaNa just went for an 8-gate, I'll be honest with you. It's done all right somehow, some way, even after failing in one particular game. But Nerchio, on this map, I would not be surprised in the slightest if it was Muta.
I agree. You know, Todd brought that up as well. Such a big map. You know, you can expand all over the place, and Protoss have no hope in hell to move across the map anytime soon. And as soon as they do, you just hit them with the Mutalisks inside their main. I wonder if he will, though. This is definitely not a map that I think we'll see Swarm host at all. Nerchio hasn't really been favoring Swarm host, unlike Liquid Ret, who will be performing later on. I'm quite interested to see how Ret will do if he's able to beat Sting and then move on. His actually Zerg vs. Protoss was looking quite hot to the Swarmy. Yep. Nerchio, though, kind of playing, you know, a little bit similar to how he played in Wings of Liberty. Lots of mind games, lots of trying to outsmart his opponent, and lots of Mutalist play, which he always favored in Wings of Liberty.
Yep, that's for now. MaNa just grabbing himself his Nexus and just scouting about a little bit, chasing the drone, who actually is not really going to get the most cost-effective hatchery down. He's actually, the opportunity cost is rising up to 460 minerals here, so Nerchio, what are you up to?
Yeah, Nerchio will throw it down eventually here. It doesn't make sense for him to do anything else, so just should be double expanding, but the Lings will kill the pylon, and one expansion goes down on the third, and one should come down here as soon as that pylon is dead, and they are a little bit later, sure. It's not the fastest time for them to come down, but he shouldn't be looking too into that, to be honest.
Yeah, not too bad there. For now, cannon starts after Gateway here for MaNa, so really cranking his tech out, completing that wall off, and for now, just the Zerglings, making sure that that probe doesn't sit around his side of the map. So important that he keeps that at bay and make sure MaNa can't do anything too tricky.
Stargate, best build usually on this map. Phoenixes, big map, nice and fast, do lots of damage, lots of Overlords to kill, and you can always get back to defend in time because it's such a big map as well if need be. But Probe goes home, goes out again, and it looks like he's going somewhere. Eventually, should be ending towards the third of his opponents, but it is just outside the range of the Xel'Naga Tower here. Not only does he need to, the way he's playing it, it's not to check the third Kalaris.
No.
It's actually to hide. Because if he wanted to check the third, there's no Zergling speed, he just walk in the Xel'Naga Tower range.
Yep.
He's hiding something here, and he's going to try and outsmart Nerchio, and I think we're going to see quite a big gateway attack here.
Yeah. I'm curious as to, oh, well, there's a Stargate down, but I'm curious as to whether or not Nerchio is going to eventually send that Zergling that's currently positioned in his relative fifth around every single extremity here, because if he does, he will spot that eventually. But, you know, oftentimes Zergs only check the bases on their side. They don't check these middle bases.
Interesting. I'm just trying to think about this probe here. You know, one of the options with Stargate and +1 coming down is that you, of course, can open up with Phoenixes and just follow up with a gateway timing with +1.
Yeah.
Because the Stargate was thrown down first, +1 after, so +1 isn't too fast here. But we could, of course, be reading into it a little bit too much. But the moves that pro players make, there is a reason behind every one. There's a reason why that probe's there, and we're obviously trying to think about why it's there. So it's there for a reason. It's not just there.
Yeah. I think if I had to give a wild stab in the dark, it feels like Phoenix and then maybe some fight 4-gate harass somehow, and then trying to take a base behind it. That's what it feels like to me.
I mean, one of the strengths of doing something like that is if you think from a Zerg's perspective, they see Phoenixes, they build drones and spores.
Yeah.
So then they don't have what it needs to defend. But a follow-up 2-base all-in from Phoenix play is very uncommon. Very, very uncommon here. But if he's looking to punish, definitely could be. Gateways are coming down now inside the main base. One just additional for now.
Just the one. He's going to save up a bit more, and he's kept that probe there, so more gateways are on the way. There's the second. Where's the
Stop probe production, Kalaris, at 44. And whether it's just to squeeze out his gateways here and continue. Yeah, okay, so it's just to squeeze his gateways out.
So I think the predictions that we had before seem very, very reasonable. He's starting to break down the rocks with the sentry as well. So Phoenix poking in at the main, maybe hitting 4-gate pressure at the third, really, really trying to stretch his opponent. Should like not do too bad.
Pylon's been made in the middle of the map there. Probe does come out as well, and +1 and 4 gates are about to align and finish together.
And for MaNa, I mean, yeah, this Zealot's going to die, but because he cleared out the watchtower, he didn't really see where that Nerchio didn't see where that probe came from, so he still does not know about the pylon. Didn't even know where the probe actually headed from.
And there we are, going to have a bit of pressure. So 4 gateways coming down. Spire is on its way. No Roach Warrant again. To be honest, if MaNa just keeps kind of boosting his gateways and keeps on... Oh, sorry, there is a Roach Warrant. Sorry, Adabisi. Adabisi, by the way, is observing.
Hi, Adabisi. Okay, so going to pick up a queen. Not going to kill that, though. Oh, actually will go down. Oh, sorry, there are 4 Phoenix there. I thought there was 3 for a second. Don't know why. But there we go. Few drones die as well on the gas, most importantly. Nom nom nom, getting those ones on the gas end. Oh, poor Stalker.
This is a really nice timing for these Zealots to get in there. If they can get in there before the Roaches pop out. Remember, Roaches are coming from different hatcheries, not just the 3rd base one. He can get quite a few kills.
Yeah, and it is 9 Roaches in production here, whilst more Phoenix are, well, 1 more Phoenix was on the way. Does he know about the Spire yet? I don't think he does, right?
I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet. It's inside the main base. It is hidden away. The Zealots have made their way towards this location. Going to pick off a couple of spores here, which will mean the Phoenixes can come in to aid the Zealots. And if he can get that back one, there's a lot of spores coming down here.
Yeah, and still Pylons actually littering the map with this annoying probe here. Yeah, indeed, good pickup. Will be able to kill off a few more Roaches whilst the Zealots do the damage at the bottom, but actually being constricted quite heavily by a few of those spores going down. And the Zerglings clean up the Pylons in the back, but look at the supplies.
Yeah,
MaNa 85 to 87.
Good damage being dealt here by MaNa. A lot of damage being done. Roaches and drones. And it's only going to continue. We see Nerchio building drones behind this. Hasn't had the opportunity to build and get his Mutalisk out. And then we do have the follow-up. 3rd Nexus. Robo's down. +2 on the way. A good opening. Good harassment. Good start for MaNa if he wants to win the series. And he's spotted the Spire now too. So Phoenix production should want to continue.
And killed off every single queen. One of them just popped now, but he only has 4 lava to really pump into. He's going to be lava constricted. He has 1,400 gas, but nothing we can really put it into, as well as a mineral restriction as well.
Yeah, he's not actually going to build Mutalisk here. He's switched over to the Infestation Pit upon seeing the Phoenixes and realizing that, you know, it's probably most likely that Phoenix production should continue.
Yeah. A little bit unlucky there for MaNa, as that Overlord does goop that location up just right after that, and he will clear that up. And, you know, he's going to be able to claim his 3rd base relatively easily here, whilst, oh, well, Nerchio swinging into Infestation Pit. He's going for still some, you know, relative mind games.
It's kind of bad, though, to go for the Infestation Pit, because he doesn't have any evolution chambers, he doesn't have any upgrades, and again, that, you know, the game on Ohana, he has +1 carapace being made, but, you know, what for?
Yeah.
If he's not using Mutalisk, he's not using... I guess they'll be good for Corruptors later on for sure, but it's going to be +2 units very soon, and we saw the efficiency that MaNa can do with good micro and good force field. He can easily kill all this, and, well, does have to cancel that base there. The Mutalisks are coming out, so just kind of waited a little bit. I guess that kind of makes sense. Going for the Infestation Pit and like going over to something else isn't good. So going over to Mutalisk and sticking with what he originally was planned for is the smarter option here.
And MaNa, if he gets whiff of this, like the full committal to the Mutalisk, actually it looks like it might just be a wave of Mutalisks and then into Infestors.
Well, he's going to defend with Infestors and on their spines and going to base trade here with the Mutalisks. MaNa doesn't really know what's going on. He's moving out with +2 and Blink. Doesn't know if there are Mutalisks or not, but either way, he's still got a very strong army here.
Yeah.
Blink is a bit annoying that he doesn't have it, but with all these spines coming down, Roaches, Lings, Infestors too.
He didn't get Pathogen Glands, though.
No, he didn't.
So that is kind of a hindrance here.
He doesn't want to overspend in it, though.
Oh, those two Immortals actually soaking up quite a lot of shots. Actually, Nerchio decides to focus down some of those sentries as well, but they're still soaking up a little bit of damage here as he pushes on in, but that's just too many spines. That's too much firepower here from Nerchio right now.
That's right, and well, MaNa's going to back off, takes his third, and doesn't want to just try to attack and keep attacking and lose everything. He's got Phoenixes. He's only on 3 base, Nerchio, so if MaNa falls back, he doesn't need to keep attacking here. He's got the Mothership Core. He can always recall if something goes wrong. He definitely wants to keep a 4th base down, which is what he's looking for at the moment.
And, well, he's going +2 carapace as well, so fully still committing to the additions on the air. And still actually Gliori Constitution going down as well. But for now, MaNa grabbing himself +3, grabbing that Blink. That Nexus is now finished up. If he sticks on 3 bases and, you know, just continues to put on a little bit of pressure here and then, that's good. But he catches some Phoenix. That's a really nice catch there by Nerchio.
That makes this a little bit different here. But remember, it's still +2 versus 0/0 ground units. And a real Immortal in that this time.
And those Stalkers doing a fantastic job here of pushing this back. Nerchio forced to retreat out. And he isn't getting the opportunity to do the harassment to MaNa with his Mutalisks. He's having to use them in defense, and that is not the position they want to be in. MaNa behind this, 2nd Stargate. So he is really, really gathering the tools necessary to really hurt Nerchio.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if MaNa should be out on the map so much. It's just so risky considering it's 3 bases as a Zerg. I think that MaNa was reading into it really well and saying that, you know, he is on 3 bases. He's kind of teched all over the place.
Yeah.
But now it's time to go back and defend. He's stayed his welcome. He's kept Nerchio contained. There's no creep spread. There's no 4th base. There's Zealots just stopping a 4th base. Now's MaNa's time to defend and max out. This is what he needs to do to win this game. Max out with Storm. Phoenix's production is continuing, but the Mules are actually hitting in here on the natural in the main.
And there's so many more Mutalisks in production, 16 on the way. They see the 2nd Stargate as well, but that doesn't deter him from actually continuing that production as Roaches are piling on towards the 3rd here. And I mean, MaNa, once again, there's the potential that he gets stretched thin, and it could be a little bit scary.
Templar Archives with...
That's the 2nd Templar Archives, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. He's got one right in the back of the mineral line already.
Well, that safety one.
Safety, yeah.
Safety one. So, you know, getting Storm, getting +1 for the Phoenixes, continuing Phoenix production. MaNa's in good shape to beat Nerchio here. Really good shape. But he has to hold on versus this massive attack. Remember, he's in good shape if he can get towards Storm. If he can get towards a high Phoenix count, but he doesn't have right now. And with +2 carapace finishing for these Mutalisks, turning off all the gateways to stop production towards the 3rd. Nerchio's coming crashing through here very shortly.
Yeah, those pylons need to go down right now. If anything, MaNa is slightly waning in his control during this game right here. As for now, I mean, the Zerglings and Roaches are going to pile on. He needs to throw down those force fields. They need to block all that off right now because this army with the Mutalist rendezvousing is doing considerable damage. Oh my god, he's doubling his supply. The Mothership Core goes down. Photon Overcharge is being utilized, but there's so much there. Everything dies.
MaNa needs time. He needs Phoenixes. He needs Storm. He hasn't got Storm. He hasn't got probes. He's falling down to this attack by Nerchio. If he was able to just defend and get the utilities he needed to defend this, then he obviously would have been in a much better shape. But he's in so much trouble trying to do a lot with so little probes. Nerchio, MaNa was, if only he had more time. If only he had more time, he could have won this game, but I'm feeling it's more becoming more and more less likely.
Yeah, these Phoenix still on the way here, but every single time they move into the fray, they go right up towards those Mutalisks there, almost dying off every single time. Nerchio now just going to expand everywhere. Why the hell not? He's got the bank. He's pretty much maxed out. He's got Zerglings rallying across the map as well. Yeah. These Mutalisks rendezvousing with these Roaches should be able to shut down a considerable amount of this 3rd base.
Kalaris It looks like history repeats itself. If this third Nexus falls down, MaNa won't be able to continue to produce the units he wants. But actually, you know, looking at that, the Nexus didn't fall. There was a lot of units traded off there. But as you said, expansions all around the map. Lots and lots of units coming in. +1 attack for the Mules. He still needs more time. If he can continue to increase his Phoenix count, eventually he'll be able to fight the Mules. But not yet. Another wave is coming.
Especially without any pulse crystals on the Fleet Beacon that he just doesn't have either. Imagine if he'd have made a Fleet Beacon instead of a second Templar Archives during all of this. But still, every single gateway being underpowered constantly here. He's not able to make any more units from just the Phoenix here. He's getting a pretty good trade, admittedly, right now. But Nerchio still behind this. A lot more Lings in the middle of the map, still producing income.
Nerchio's only on 3 bases, technically, still. So he hasn't got the same gas that he had, for example, on Daybreak, where he had 10 gases. So the more damage that is dealt, the better it is for MaNa. But still, very shortly, a 4th and 5th will be established. And with that, then we'll see too many units to deal with. But we do have the Fleet Beacon finally down. The probe count still quite low here for MaNa at 45 across these 3 bases.
And it gets a little bit scary here for MaNa if he commits to just a huge amount of Phoenix, because sure, he ends up killing off a ton of Mutalisks, but if Nerchio grabs himself, max, and then goes into ground army, then the Phoenix becomes slightly redundant. I mean, these trades are going off once again. Naturally, MaNa still keeps getting really good trades here, but all the gateways are still underpowered. He has to power them back up.
He's losing a little bit too many Phoenixes there, but if you think about it now, if MaNa's able to build up to, I don't know, 150 supply or something and then move out, maybe. But then he has to deal with counterattacks, and now we're seeing the 4th and the 5th being mined from. Gases are being taken and gas being mined. The Mulus count will keep on rising, and then it's just going to be too many, too much to deal with. The count will be too high.
Yeah, it's very difficult for him to deal with, especially with just the speed and rapidity of Nerchio here. And does he actually have any energy for Photon Overcharge? Doesn't look like it right now. And because of the Time Warp, they don't actually slow Mutalisks down, though.
No, they don't. They don't affect air. But the Phoenixes are being microed really well. Look at them all in orange health, doing a lot of damage here again. Needs to not lose one, and he does, but we're about to have the range upgrade complete here in a couple of seconds' time, but he's losing another one. He's got to be so careful. Now the range is incomplete. But look at the gas income compared to MaNa. It's skyrocketing. It must be you know, close to 1,000 gas per minute now. Must be close.
I think the interesting thing is that if MaNa continues to hold on, he's slowly evening up the supply gap. There's only ever Lings and Mutalisks on the way for Nerchio, and Nerchio is just fully committing to assault. But MaNa, he is evening it up. And
Spines, though, man.
That's true.
You know, even if he does have the army to kill Nerchio's army and then win the game, he's got to get through Spines first, and it's not going to be easy.
There's like no ground upgrades actually for Nerchio out right now. I mean, it's not going to make a massive difference just yet, but well, MaNa, he's really far out here. The Zealots are going to go for some harassment in this base, but they're not really going to do too much.
I still think there's just going to be too many Mutalisks at the end of this fight here. With +2 carapace, +1 attack, MaNa, if he wants to win, has to fight. He has to go into the Spines, you see, so...
Yeah.
And that's not going to work. He knows he can't go in, so he's going to have to go ahead and expand again, take a 4th, and that now leads Nerchio back out into the map. Now Nerchio's harassment can continue once again.
Well, MaNa doing a pretty good job with the micro of these Phoenix. He did lose 1 or 2 there, but if he can just whittle down the Mutalisk numbers over and over and over, and he has just quite a good critical mass here of Stalkers to actually deal with Zerglings, etc. And they're actually just going to plow up against them, but Blink's going to help them out quite considerably. All he has to do is blink back some, but oh dear me. Well, actually, he's losing a lot of Mutalisks here.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's able to replenish so much, but down at 130 supply to 125. If you look at the units lost tab, I suppose that tells a big story here too. I mean, a lot of resources lost for both players, more so for Nerchio, but the Mules are about to die.
They are.
Kalaris, there's no ground unit upgrades.
Yeah.
Only air upgrades. If MaNa can control the sky, can then he control the game?
Potentially. I mean, if he has enough Phoenix out, and then maybe, you know, on 3 base, whilst he tries to grab a 4th base, maybe go for Void Rays, and then use those to really, really not only control the sky again, even more so, but then really rip into the ground army that's going to disintegrate under that pressure. This is by no means over. MaNa has taken a supply lead. It's been 52 workers. He had 66 for a while, but he made
series.
It's insane.
This series and MaNa's control, I mean, we've talked a lot about what Nerchio's been doing, but Nerchio has been out-controlled. I mean, if you look at the Phoenix player, granted he has lost some here and there, but I still can't believe my eyes that MaNa's in this position. How did he get here?
I think that you said it well when the entire series has been scrappy, and even this game is just back and forth, blow for blow, just completely scrappy. And look at this, he's going to utilize his abilities very, very nicely, going into the base here, trying to bring down a little bit of tech potentially, or even just overlords. This is a scary situation here for Nerchio.
The spy goes down, and like I said, there's no ground upgrades at all here, so it's only air. He needs a new spy. He's building a new spy.
Yeah.
Corruptor's come in now. And I think the moral of this story is that Phoenix's own Mutalisks.
Just a little bit, and the Impulse Crystals really making those trades very, very strong here. Nerchio, he is so far down in supply, he was up for a long time. He's going to kill the spawning pool as well. Every single bit of tech that Nerchio had is now going to go away, and they can't even engage with these units because the Archons are there to easily fend this off.
Can't believe MaNa's doing it in this fashion here, and he's going to be able to break the deadlock. He's going to be able to break this deadlock against Nerchio for the first time ever. And it's unfolding right before our eyes.
I cannot believe it. This is a crazy series, a crazy game number 5. Some of the Stalkers, they're going to get cleaned up. But MaNa's so far ahead in terms of pretty much everything right now. Not necessarily income, but once he grabs himself a 4th base with a ton of Stalkers that he has here as well back home, he's putting on so much pressure that it's really, really hard for Nerchio.
Nerchio, I'm just staring at his face at this point. In the position that he was in to the position he's in now, his sigh of relief just came out as he gulps again. I think he's starting to, you know, digest the fact that it's over.
Coming to terms with it. The spawning pool's on the way now, but all Nerchio can make is Infestors and Roaches. I think, did the Spire complete up as well? I think so. So he can technically make Mutalisks, but still, that's going to cost him a hell of a lot here. And why would you want to go for extra Mutalisks when there's 7 Phoenix on the way, just dancing around you all the time?
That's right. And well, we're about to see that spine wall that was knocked on before but not walked through be broken down as MaNa's setting it up with Archons on the way. He doesn't really want to go without them, to be honest, but he's going to blink in the main, blink up here.
Spine's not too useful when they're being completely avoided. Even the Infestors that he just produced are dying off left, right, and center. MaNa is now 50 supply, well, 30 supply up here, as Fungals do land on a lot of this army as well, but the Mutalisks are being ripped out of the skies. There's 15 Roaches on the way, 14 Roaches on the way. But with all the hatcheries dying, with all the drones being assaulted as well, MaNa is on the verge of taking one of the first series in a long time against his nemesis.
That's right, Roaches are being made, but what are Roaches going to do here against these Blink Stalkers, which are well upgraded? There's Archons coming across the map now as well, and a great submission there by MaNa. Having units on the high ground, there the Archons actually still just sat there back at home, not being used here. Spire being targeted down once again. 67 supply to 128. Look at the army value there in the top left. We can see this has been a painful series for both sides, and it's coming to a conclusion in just the way it's coming to the conclusion the way that this series has been played out.
And I mean, with MaNa 99.9% advancing on here, I mean, he's going to go up against MVP next, and he considers his PVT to still be his strongest matchup. So, I mean, MVP looked fearsome, but anything can happen here if this can happen. Good God.
0-0 Roaches, man. These ground units, there's been no evolution chambers in this game. There's been no upgrades whatsoever. There was no insurance policy with Nerchio's strategy here. He went for it, he stuck on it, and didn't think about what if this doesn't work. There was never that thought process.
No.
And because of that, this is where he is now. He's got no upgrades, he's got minimal units, and he's about to lose for the first time ever to MaNa. And it does come down in Heart of the Swarm, as Nerchio did think could happen. And we're about to see the GG, man. Here come the Archons, here come the Stalkers. There is nothing here. Look at Nerchio.
An absolute powerhouse bulldozer comes in. GG. MaNa ends up taking the first best of 5 here in the bracket after what was an absolutely crazy best of 5.
What a rough series that was as MaNa goes over, shakes his opponent's hand, but Nerchio must be feeling rather upset at this point. You know, looking at how the series was played, it obviously wasn't the cleanest play from either of them, but well, MaNa's done it. MaNa's been able to beat Nerchio there, but it only gets more difficult.
Yeah, it really does. LGIM MVP looked phenomenal yesterday, really utilizing speed medevacs to the fullest extent. And against Protoss, those speed medevacs are terrifying in the hands of someone like MVP.
That's right, man. That's MVP versus MaNa is going to be a great game.
Yeah, it is. So guys, that is going to do it for our first best of 5. But for now, we are going to throw it to Rachel on the stage.
All right, you guys had called the outcome of this match before it even started, but I think it was a little closer than you predicted. Why?
I think Nerchio played way better than I expected. His timings of the Mutalisk were very, very strong. I always try to hit the timing before Mutalisk, but he always had them already. So I think he played really greedy because I didn't make like earlier pressure. But overall, I think the games were fun to watch, but very hard to play.
Very hard to play. Well, there were a couple times where I wasn't sure if it was that you stumbled or Nerchio was playing just brilliantly, but like in Game 4, what were you thinking about that let Nerchio take the lead?
The Game 4, what was it? I don't remember the map.
It was too traumatizing. It's been forgotten.
Oh, was it Cloud Kingdom, right? Yeah, it was Cloud Kingdom. Well, yeah, I wanted to hit the timing for Mutalisks, and then I see Mutalisk already flying to my natural. I was like, okay, there should be not like a lot of them, but there was like maybe 9, something like this, and I killed all my economy so quickly. I was very, very surprised by the DPS of Mutalisk, and well, I was very upset that I hit like almost right timing, but still lost.
Was there anything you want to say to the fans out there who are maybe a little bit discouraged or a little bit excited?
I mean, wish me good luck versus MVP. He's definitely, at least for me, the best player in the tournament, so I will do my best, but, well, I'm not expecting too much, but I'll do my best.
Well, not expecting too much. That's not fair, man. You got to believe in yourself. I believe in you. We'll see how these matches go. We're handing it back to our experts, and when we come back, another exciting match for you all.
Well, that was a very drawn-out boxing match of a series there. We saw MaNa managing to make history for himself, beating Nerchio in that best of 5, moving on to play MVP. Congratulations to him. And guys, there's a lot to talk about in that game. But before we move on into the late game, of course, we saw early on Nerchio going for the aggression, but this time MaNa wasn't set back by it as much as we've seen maybe in some games earlier.
Go ahead, Harston.
No, you can start.
You start.
Okay. Well, he opened with some Phoenix pressure, and he didn't skip the Rotor in this game. So there really wasn't a problem for Nerchio at all. He did take some damage, lost, I think, 4 or 5 Overlords actually. Got supply block for 25, 30 seconds, something like that. Yeah. But it wasn't a huge setback at all. So.
Oh, yeah, I agree. We saw MaNa going for this target again. Nerchio going for the Mutas again. As I said, I would have really liked to see a second target early on. That wasn't the case for some time. And Nerchio, he seems to skip Roach Warren a lot, and he goes for a lot of links in the mid-game, in almost every single game, because he wants to be safe against that early aggression. He gets speed and links before a proxy pylon could be made, basically. Even though we had like the Mission Impossible probe that went like all around the corner of the map and like, was against the wall like this. And MaNa, he ended up having a pylon over there for a long time. He went for some aggression with those Zealots, but not big enough. If you're going to go for this early +1, you know your opponent always goes for Mutas. He's only going to get links at always the same timing. Maybe a 5 or 6 gate Zealot with another proxy pylon closer to the third base of your opponent. Yeah, he might have been, at some point it looked like he was going to be able to do a lot of damage in Nerchio's third base. Imagine if he had done that.
Yeah, but this game he did get a Roach Warren, so I think it would have been good. Like, it would have been good to do because he skipped Roach Warren so many times, but I don't think it would have worked this game because of the Roach Warren.
That's right, yeah, the Roach Warren wasn't actually skipped in this game. We're actually going to hop into the replay and take a look at some of that early aggression there. Let's see if we can... Oh, hang on. We're a bit earlier here, aren't we? 12, 12...
oh, sorry.
12:20. There we go. All right, awesome. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the aggression when Nerchio is coming in to attack MaNa for the first time. And in particular, we see some pretty crucial buildings getting taken out in just a bit inside the main base of MaNa.
And your mouse sensitivity is so low, even yourself, you struggle watching the replay. How do you even play like this? Well, what's your sensitivity?
This is not my sensitivity, I just use this mouse. I haven't changed anything.
I was struggling so much earlier.
Yeah, so we do see the Nexus being cancelled. This is the first time the Nexus gets cancelled, or the second time even. It was a little bit delayed by the creep threat of the Overlord over here. And I think this attack actually went quite okay for Nerchio. Cancelling the third when you're playing Mutas is really big.
No, but I think it was bad overall because MaNa only lost the money, like he lost almost nothing because he cancelled the Nexus on time, and behind this he's going to have a lot of units. He has Phoenixes to counter the Mutas, he has Blinkstalkers, +2 is about to finish, so he's getting Blink a little bit late, and that's really only the bad thing for him right now. But he's going to counter-attack, which I think is smart in this situation actually. And can you show me the army supply? I think if he had gone in the third here, he might have been able to win or do a lot of damage.
There are he didn't scout the third at all. There were no spines, only 2 spores, actually 1 spine, and the rocks weren't down. So he just could have force fielded this little area between the rocks.
Yeah. And he hallucinated some immortals. I think it's better to do Archons when you do that.
Really? Even with the hardened shield?
I mean, Archons, man.
Archons? They're big.
Just to scare the opponent. You know?
And a really nice touch from Nerchio as well, back in the main base. While the third was being cancelled, he managed to take out the pylons. They were powering all those gateways underneath, but MaNa noticed straight away and immediately put the pylons back up. And obviously that was important because he was going to try and counterattack as well. So a good spot from him there too.
Yeah.
And yeah, MaNa behind is going for +3 and Blink. Just was going to... He was able to stabilize from there. It didn't really do any big damage on the base of Nerchio, which was a shame. I really think it could have gone better, but from there, Nerchio later on, he was able to get a lot of Mutas out. And he was in a great position. He had 200 to 100 supply, I think, at some point. And I think he kind of fell asleep on it, fell asleep on the job here. He thought he had won, and he didn't do what he had to basically close it out. I think Apollo compared this match to a boxing match. And if this was the equivalent of a boxing match, we could say that Nerchio scored a lot more points than his opponents. And in one of the last rounds here, he basically got knocked out.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good way to sum it up. In fact, Apollo and Kalaris were talking on stream there basically at the end going, wow, how did MaNa actually get to this position? Because Nerchio was poised so well beforehand. Was there anything that you guys saw in particular towards the late game there that MaNa did particularly well that you thought allowed him to get that decisive edge over Nerchio?
Yeah, I think the Phoenix and the Anion Pulse Crystals was a good move, but I think it mainly came down to Nerchio never really tech switching, not getting any ground upgrades. He was on 0-0 for 34 minutes for his ground. And I don't know.
How did that make you feel?
Yeah, it made me a bit sad for Nerchio. I think a Hydra switch with like 1-1 upgrades would have completely killed MaNa.
Or even Infestors. Like he did Infestors just too late.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, hey, Infestors. Then he threw a couple Infested Terrans. I was like, it's not going to do anything. The Phoenixes are just going to fly away. So a much earlier Infestors tech switch, a lot of Spore Crawlers everywhere, and just any tech switch, really. Anything would have been better than Mutas at this point.
Yeah, because he even was behind in Muta against Phoenix at some point, and then he started building 15 Mutas again, and MaNa had 10 Phoenix with Anion Pulse Crystals, and we were like,
I don't know, Kev.
Actually, we didn't know. This wasn't going to turn out well. So,
unfortunately not. But congratulations there to MaNa, who takes this series 3-2. And I just want to remind you guys also not to forget that at 5 p.m. Central European time today, we're going to have the world premiere of the newest Heart of the Swarm release trailer. And we're actually going to show it here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship an hour before it's officially released to YouTube. So we have the exclusive on that, and we have a really quick, very, very short teaser video for you to maybe take a look at what that's going to be all about. Here it is. I love his face there when he's turning around. Oh, oh. That's absolutely brilliant. I can't wait for that. Be here at 5 o'clock. We're going to play that entire trailer in full. And also, don't forget, you can join the Raid Call channel. The group ID is 1997. And a little bit later on today as well, we're going to be giving away some Patriot memory available for anyone who answers, I believe, some StarCraft-related questions regarding the tournament a bit later in the Raid Call channel. So do check that out as well as Todd pockets the RAM. Guys, we'll be back with the next best of 5. It's going to be Stefano versus Parting straight after this break. This is the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Don't go anywhere.